Troy. We're happy you're here. Is it, who's on Zoom tonight?
No one yet.
Oops, I can move that over
Yeah.
here. Should we start?
Thank you.
Okay.
So cool.
So welcome. Thanks for coming to the workshop, talking about swimming lessons. We had a great select board meeting last, 2 weeks ago with our MMA attorney representative that kind of talked about coverages and stuff and how we might lay out a program safely and keep everybody covered and away from lawsuits and stuff. Right. And, you know, no child left in the lot, I think. Yes. Exactly. So, they probably don't have this stuff that we have, right?
We can't share legal advice, but I didn't make copies, but they can look at what the swimming lesson requirements are from the state of Maine. If you know.
I mean, if that's what the lawyers said we need.
Well, I don't know why we can't share what the insurance company said.
Yeah, I just. We did send information on employee, whether you're an employee, a contractor.
Do we know what NRCD means for the lifeguard training?
National Red Cross.
It's gotta be,
Just-
yes.
I'm-
Yeah, it's probably Red Cross Life Savings.
Well, that would be ARC, that's why. Would be a nationally recognized certification board or something like that.
I think we were looking for that someone would be a certified swim instructor.
Which I have, looked into, I've been in contact with, a woman named Carrie Bonifer, who works through Lighthouse Health and Safety,
Mhm.
who I have worked with and certified with in the past. And she has two, lifeguard classes coming up that Dana and I talked about. One of us at the very least would take that. I'm interested in taking it for sure, so I certainly will, whether we both do it, I just do it. And then I also have looked into, water safety instructor training as well.
Nice. Does that include CPR?
And I am CPR certified on.
Awesome. And you're a teacher?
Yes. Yes.
Sweet.
I just got it on CD on my purpose. You know, is that gonna be Red Cross, is that gonna be YMCA, is that gonna be? I'm trying to think of the one that's out of Florida.
So some of the things we talked about also in the last, in our, with our MMA attorney, we talked about, the coverage that the town has as an umbrella policy, but how best to run a certified program that had a lifeguard and helpers that had CPR, but I didn't even know they had swim instructor. That's cool.
Yeah.
And so that it's not only safe, but is covered under some policy, whether you guys want to do your own company and be independent contractors and have liability, or whether you want to work for the town for that short amount of time and have it a town program, all the funds go through the town office and have it be a town sponsored program, which would then, we thought would be under the liability umbrella. Am I correct, you girls?
Then another question I have is, as a certified swim instructor, generally what happens to maintain that certification once you've initially gotten it, you submit class rosters and class progression for your students, but there's a fee to submit that. So that's another consideration of like, where does that come from? How is that taken care of? Because both my certifications all expired. I had training level certifications for all
Yep.
of it in the day. So keeping current and submitting those records kept me current, so you didn't have to retake courses every 2 years.
2 years or 3 years, yep.
Whatever the certification, time frame was. So that's another thing that I think my gut reaction is I'd rather be a town employee than set up as a business, because again, I'm thinking
Last that long.
I may not do this forever, but I'd like to start
Right.
training and help them and probably volunteer later.
Administratively, for you, it would be a whole lot easier.
Well, I think liability wise, it's a town beach, if it was then following the town.
Account function, yeah,
And then we could submit those records as the town clerk for this instructor. And there again, I can look into, or we can look into as we look at that certification. And I wonder too, like, do you do one certification, I do another this year, and then next year we do the opposite certifications, so we're both certified in
Yeah.
both.
Like, if your lifeguard expired, I would still have.
You're live, right,
so I'm not sure what the state requires. I know the YW, Jennifer Russell Bickford was a longtime lifeguard for swimming lessons and for the pool at the YW in Lewiston. And, the courses that she was running, they had to have one certified lifeguard, and then people that had instructor or CPR experience, swimming, safety. So, in order to keep their licenses, so.
Right.
I mean, the more the better and the safer.
Of course.
Yeah. Leanne,
When were you thinking of holding the?
when you come back, right? Yeah, July into August, we were hoping, and that was another one of my questions, because when I talked to you, fiscal year ends June 30th
And the rec committee, prior rec committee budgeted $2,000,
for this current year.
right? So if you,
So if we don't, does that money just stay in the rec fund?
no,
Got it.
so we need to budget some money. I don't know if she's gonna be an employee, then we can budget in, but we gotta,
We got a lot of
Workman's
figuring out to do
comp
if that
and-
be the case.
yep,
Yes.
and where they want to start in, do the lessons later in the year.
July
Well,
would be
it's
next
not
fiscal
necessarily
year.
later in the year,
What's that?
because don't they usually, start July 1st?
that's the new year.
But she's
Yeah,
going,
but isn't
So-
that how it's been in the past?
right,
Am I
but
wrong?
she's gonna be away.
I'm not sure for what event last year, to be honest. I'm going to be away. And so we were thinking about pushing it out to like, the third week of July.
Yeah, I was just looking to see what dates.
Okay, so last year we started on July 10th.
So,
So this year, we would just be looking to start more like July 15th or July 22nd. Last year it was only 2 full weeks.
Right.
So it was like, and I remember it was into, yeah, so it was the two full weeks of July. This year it would be maybe like week of July or August.
Would you say 1 week?
2 weeks.
2
2 weeks, yeah. But whether we started on the 5th or
Which gives us more time to kind of get
Right.
things well-oiled machine.
We still gotta figure out how much they want for pay as an employee and budget for that. Soon.
Right,
Mhm.
soon is right, yeah. Do we need to do some market research on lifeguard stuff, what people get paid, or whether you guys got paid, what you got paid last year, whether you want to continue with that? Only because we are getting into budget season, we need to get this budgeted, if we're gonna do it this way.
Well, and that's, I wrote that long letter because I didn't have the answers to all my questions last year, and I just jumped in and we did it.
Right.
But there had been no talk about who was covered liability wise, there had been no talk about certification. I was told if you want it, we'll pay for it.
I was certified last year, just last.
We just,
Yeah.
so there again, there's ongoing certifications, depending on how you
Yeah.
run it, depending on who you get certified through.
Yeah.
So we have as many questions as you do, and we're gonna do it, but
It
Yeah.
also says here under aquatic staff, that shall be at least 21 years of age. I think you guys both passed. And hold or have evidence of having held within the last 5 years one of the following certifications. So if it's just lapsed,
I mean, I had it with the class.
so, you know, I think you're probably golden if, you know,
I
I
would like
mean,
to update it just to have.
for your own sake, right? Sure.
Right,
They changed it, like, when I did my last certification, 3 years ago now. I hadn't done it in like a couple of years prior, I did it when I was in college. And so many things had changed. I remember saying to the trainer, like, but we used to do it, and she was like, nope, we don't do that.
not that way.
We used to,
No.
used to, right.
I've been a lifeguard since I was 16 years old, and that's
me
more
too.
than 15 years at this point.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of things change, I definitely
Mhm.
stay up on things, but it has been
Yeah.
within 5 years.
I think this is an incredibly great life skill, and the town's been doing swimming lessons for years. I'm thrilled that you guys would like to continue that.
Well, and you know, there again, if we're talking, it becomes a town business, and what do you pay us and what do we charge? You know, I was an assistant aquatics director, so I played that game too. But it sounds like the laws at a town beach are different, and so I think we just need to keep talking about what's required. We'll get the certifications, but I know in the past they did the lump sum thing, so I don't know how that works out,
Yeah.
if it's just a contracted amount or if it's an hourly amount. I know at an aquatics facility, you were required to have a lifeguard on deck, and people teaching in the water were different. I don't think that holds true from what
Yeah.
I've read.
And you guys had also mentioned that you'd like the parents to stay.
Oh,
yeah.
For the,
Yeah,
which
I
also,
think- I think that,
I love that.
well, I like that idea, but it also
No, that has
means
always
that, you know, you've essentially got lifeguards there. Because if a child that's not in a lesson should go in the water and there's trouble, mother's right, or father's right there.
Right.
Because you're busy with the kids that are actually actively in their swim class.
Right, and I think that's where our hope that parents stay comes from, is the kids that are in the water with us, as much as it's siblings that are swimming
Right.
out of our sight.
Sure,
And
With
not
no
being-
supervision.
Well,
There was a couple of times
or
last
kids
year.
who are waiting for the next class or,
Right,
or what.
there were a couple of times last year that one of us had to kind of duck out to be like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
that's not safe, like, please stop dunking him and holding him under the water.
I apologized, you know?
You know, dude. So if that was, I think,
Yeah.
where that.
And you guys had some issues where parents hadn't come back at the end of lessons, and you guys had to stay.
No.
Oh, I thought I heard that at the last,
not with
No.
us, not with us, Leslie.
No, it was more the concern of siblings that are either waiting for a lesson or just had a lesson, and now their siblings in a lesson that are just free swimming, which is wonderful, practice your skills,
right,
but aren't being safe, and we can't be
Right.
watching them when we.
Right.
Of
course.
right,
And the
absolutely.
bathroom breaks, or the, you know,
Yeah,
Sure.
kids that need to go to the bathroom,
Oh,
like
that's
a
good.
parent to walk them to the porta potty there. So there's 2 of us in the water, and 2 kids.
Leanne's got more questions.
oh, go ahead.
Well, it says that life-saving devices are required enough for all the kids. Do you provide those or?
Life-saving device,
It says all swimming areas shall be provided with an adequate number of life-saving devices that are positioned to be readily accessible. The life-saving, so that, I don't know if that means that one for like every child. I think that
Yeah.
might be something.
An adequate number
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna.
is, the adequate number's a little
I'm just
vague.
thinking because
I think
budget
they're
season
talking about
coming
having
Right,
a-
we need to
Yeah.
know how much to budget.
Well, and then that, if I draw from my aquatics director experience, when you're in a pool, you have a shepherd's hook, you have a
Row.
rope, and you know,
lifeguard.
you have the lifeguard buoys, but
Oh, one of those like ring with a rope on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
And the lifeguard buoys are the big red, like,
Oh.
they're called tubes, but they're just like padded flotation
Yeah.
devices that.
The old ones used to wrap around your waist as water ski.
so can the lawyers or insurance company tell us what adequate, or does the state Read it one more time.
It just says all swimming areas shall be provided with an adequate number of life-saving devices that are positioned to be readily accessible to all swimming areas.
So I'm gonna assume
Yep,
that, not assume, we will, we have kickboards, we have noodles, which are not life-saving devices. For insurance, I'm quite certain, or any type of certification, but I would assume if we had a throw ring and a rescue tube on that beach of that size, if you need to ask someone, I would be absolutely comfortable and happy if we got an answer from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would think that if,
but we want to budget for that
Yeah.
and so that you have it every year.
And other things that.
and we can
Yeah.
keep those, we can leave those at the town office, pick them up on our way down.
You know, we probably keeping them as a good.
Keep them for the season, then
And-
drop them
and-
back
and-
off for storage.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, is that they would disappear or be misused.
Oh,
if they
beyond a
were allowed.
shadow of doubt.
Yeah, no, you'd have to bring them back and forth every time you go, and then at the end of the season, we'll store them here for you for next year.
You have $2,000 this year
Ooh,
to spend.
Oh, we could use that one.
We could do that.
That's correct.
That kind of stuff. That'd be good.
Okay.
We could leave one of those.
Okay.
That can also be-
Hopefully you don't need $2,000 for it.
No.
Yeah.
I think we have 16 or
I
17
mean,
boards.
But
Yeah,
those, you know,
those don't count as like
Rings.
devices.
those
Okay.
rates can be kind of crazy, like.
Yeah, I'll look up tubes, I'll look up rings.
Yeah. Do you want shepherds?
And see that the shepherds.
and do you need
Oh,
two sets, one on either end of the group?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay,
I wouldn't think so. Yeah. And I mean, realistically, we're probably not even going to use them, we're realistically going to take said child out of them. Physically, because for us to run ashore and grab a rescue tube to come out. and pick up
Honestly,
Right,
the child,
yeah.
it's
And
not-
one of the things about Canton Lake is very long shallow.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know,
Great
I
for swim
mean,
lessons.
any one of the kids, if they stay within sight of the buoys, it'd be very hard to find a drop off.
Well, and for the majority of the students,
It's touchable.
it's where we do lessons, it's touchable for, we don't take them out beyond that.
And if
There might have been a couple that we took out beyond that where they, but not many.
And if we did, we were usually.
Oh, we were right.
We did,
It was one at a time. Yeah, we're hands on.
Yeah.
So we'll meet the criteria for insurance and liability and all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm serious, yeah. What else have you seen?
No.
how many people do you think you're gonna need?
For lessons?
Mhm.
Us, the two of us.
You don't need a helper, a third person?
None
What
of
if-
the parents are there.
Okay,
And my intent is to keep the classes like we did last year, what was our largest class, 15? And we rearranged that. I think we rearranged that one too.
Yeah, and this year I don't have as many because obligations, so.
That one was 10, that one was 9. That's the one we
This, and
rearranged.
then we moved them around.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure there's nothing on ratios of adults.
Yeah.
Students, never there. Because
It just says. One lifeguard for every 20 persons. So if we kept, if one of us was, if only I certified, and we kept the groups less, I mean, 20 is too big. We kept it less, we keep it less than 20 anyways. I would rather like open an additional class to still keep the
Yeah.
class size much smaller,
Yeah.
much longer. Then like throw it in like 30 kids in the part of it.
So then, question just popped in my head, we have 12 students for swim lessons hypothetically. What about the other 15 that are swimming? Is that a separate coverage? What does the town?
if
is
they're not
that-
involved in swimming lessons, they're not a part
They're
of,
not part of us, so. is that-
because we don't close the beach for swim lessons either, you could have other people
Right.
there.
Okay, I just wanted to be assured that like, when we're saying one
And we know-
20, it's.
The sign off that
that
parents have will
Yeah.
state the same thing, when your child is not a part of swim lessons, they are not being supervised and they are not covered under the town's liability.
Then like whatever the parents are signing, I don't think it said anything like that last year, and that was a concern, right, on our end.
Right.
Who's responsible for what? Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Only because I don't know. How many classes do you run during the day? Is it just,
We ran 4 initially and then I added a 5th because I broke those 4 girls off and did them before you showed up.
Yeah.
Because of your commitment. So we did 5.
that's great.
There again, I don't know how the town feels or what we're thinking about spreading it out and where that payment schedule, whether we're contracted for a certain amount for the season or whether we're contracted per child, but I think we can continue to work on that. I can see it growing a little bit and us doing.
I've already had Hebron parents being like, I hear you teach swim lessons, I would love to be part of that, and I know that that's not currently part of the grouping of people, so I know that, like, there are other towns that are interested in like growing them.
You know, I noticed in the letter you mentioned Hebron.
Yeah, that's just, and, that's just like families that have been like, oh, I heard you teach swim lessons in Hartford, like, because they have connections in this area, they know the kids that participate in it.
And there aren't any. There's just, unless you go to the YW, it's so hard
Well,
because it's a big investment you've got to, for liability.
a lot of parents do understand the importance.
Well,
It's a very important skill.
and again, I think you guys already talked about taking last year's list and when we go to do registration. Saying your child was at this level last year, we're looking at this time slot.
Step up.
Yes, and have it all organized before they walk in.
Yeah.
You know, like send out the information.
And
have
if you're not
contact.
gonna start till July 15th, which is fine, because we're lucky to have you. I would still think that you want them to register by July 1st, so you're all ready.
Oh, yeah.
And then if they want to buy a beach pass for their family ahead of time, get them in the water. But they will be buying those through the town office. So you guys don't have to.
I can certainly do like registration. for it. I'm only gone, it's like, you know, a week and a half, like 8 days that I'm gone. But I am, so that's, but we can do it before I leave, so we
That's
can
exciting.
work on it. Yes, it's like Greece and Turkey.
Really?
Sounds
Really?
Greece and Turkey.
Wow.
Oh,
So,
I'll do lots of swimming.
so all the registration piece that we saw last year is not a concern of ours. Is what I'm hearing.
Registration.
They'll
Car
register.
registration, sorry, car registration, beach passes, like that was all done here at swim lesson registration.
They got
It has to go
Grams.
through the office.
We want them,
So,
because
yeah.
it's gonna be a town sponsored event, they need to come to the office, which makes it easier for you. They can come in and sign up and pay for their parking pass and,
But they can pay for their parking pass on the day they register for lessons, or would it be too different?
oh
They
no,
have to pay at the office.
Right, but what we're saying is like, when we send out information, is that gonna be, are we gonna put a paragraph in there that says?
once your child is
"Have a
registered,
parking pass, you need to go to the town office a little bit, like. I would like to have a letter drawn up and you guys' approval, but so that they know, I need a parking pass, it's this much, it's done at the town office.
Mhm.
Registration for lesson is, like, I'd like to do a lot of the registration through online if we can. People that we've already had.
You mean pay online?
Oh, they can't, they're gonna have to come down to the order. Okay, so they're just gonna have to come down to it all, but we could, if we had classes set up in times, would that be helpful to you? Doesn't matter, baby, doesn't.
nope,
Is it possible to schedule, I don't know what the town office hours here are like. Is it possible to schedule like the registration day on the day the town office is also open?
that seems like a very good idea. The
It
first,
just-
Yeah.
the
Like,
town office is
you know,
open
they
on
can sign
both.
up here with us and then be like, all right, off you go to get parking pass.
The town office is
That's it.
going to be open on both
Yeah.
the 1st and the 15th.
and you know, if you had a book that said 2 children, blah, 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 here's this, when they come to the town office, they can pay for swimming and their parking pass. You guys don't have to mess around with the money at all,
Why do they have to see you first?
just to register and get an idea.
I don't.
I could have the forms there,
Oh, look at this.
What?
would have the registration forms there,
Right there.
just do everything.
We just do everything through, you wouldn't have to elect it.
Yeah.
You were lovely.
What day does your new person work? Wednesdays,
Thursdays.
Thursday? Cause she has a person that she's training, so she could actually get time off to go to Greece and wherever. And, yeah, look, she'll fun. And so that might be a good day because there's an extra person in the office that's.
So the other questions I have, and I don't know if you guys have the answers, is do we have contact people for Hartford, Sumner, Buckfield, that previously did this? Do I reach out to
Oh,
town people to
the
see?
previous students, you mean?
No, previous, my understanding is like each town
Pays
contributed money towards swim program,
Like the
one
mother
town.
club and.
One
Yeah,
town.
that's how
paid
some
for
of
their
them.
kids
I've
to
never
do
had any
lessons.
understanding of how that.
I didn't
I
even,
know we got checks, that's all I know. I don't know how they figured it or.
Well, who was in charge of the money? Is it
Ramsey.
Elizabeth?
Ramsey, I
Rec
think.
committee.
Well, yeah.
I think they must pay by the student, because they're all different.
The students.
Well,
Most of them.
My understanding was Canton paid for any Canton student. But they also paid some of them.
I know there's some, there's Mothers Club distributed
Buckfield, all three towns sent a check.
money and Town of Sumner and.
So is that something we have to reach out and ask them to do every year, or do you just say this one program is continuing?
Be a good
please?
question for Ramsey and Elizabeth.
Well, Elizabeth wanted to be here tonight and she'd actually called me about she's traveling. And you know, her flight was today or tomorrow or whatever, but she wasn't gonna be able to attend tonight.
Hmm,
But she would be a good one to ask this question.
yeah,
So do you want me to ask those questions?
Convert.
I'm happy to do that.
But she will be away for the next 8 days, I think.
It's February, so.
I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know.
yeah,
Um,
you got plenty of time.
You won't be able to call her tomorrow.
Also, yeah, so.
Do we have a problem with including Hebron? Because that's where you teach Hebron Station School.
I don't have a problem.
Do you have room if you get another 15 students from there?
People with students. I'll spend the whole day in water.
Well, it's just warm, right?
Nasty sunburn though last year. On like the
I was
first-
about to say,
On like the first 2 days.
And then you got waterlogged for the rest of the summer.
Wearing a crisscross back bathing suit, right? A terrible sunburn. My sister was getting married the next week. And opened that.
Dress.
Fried me, and I called her on my way home and I was like, so please don't kill me. And she was like, I just can't deal with this right now.
Right.
So there's a-
Pride stress.
Pictures from the wedding, like not from the ceremony, but from the reception.
What towns have been involved? And I wouldn't know that, so.
Hartford, Buckfield, Canton, Sumner.
And
so
then-
basically the old school district.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Well,
it's
Canton,
different
actually Canton wasn't
because
part of
They
it.
just heard about it from, you know. and
Right.
Have asked about it, I know there would be interest from.
I don't have a problem including Hebron. The one question I have around this has to do with precedent, because what about when, because right next to Hebron, of course, is Paris, and what about when kids from Paris decide they want to come and well, you know, and so on and so forth, you know, Dixfield kids and, you know, I mean, I'm not prejudiced against any of them, but at some point, I think we only want to get so.
We
big.
can, we can try with what we've got, and if we have space or it works. I think Paris and Norway, don't they have like a summer YW down on
They-
Pemigewassi?
Yeah, Pennsylvania, they get some lessons there, but you, I didn't,
Right,
it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily Paris, I'm just saying,
yeah,
the next town over.
Yeah.
because it could be Livermore.
You know, or, I mean, what's next to Canton, Jay? Livermore is really close by, touches Hartford in one tiny location. You know,
So
so,
I think we try with these towns, and then if there's a room, we can talk about that next month.
And I think too, we could easily say, like, I don't wanna do
Right.
5 hours in the water, I've been there, done that.
Right.
But I can easily do 2.5, 3, possibly 4 if I have them typically.
Right.
So if we said classes of 12 every half hour with however we do the grades, you've got 24, 48. Candidates say we're not gonna do any more than 60 in a year.
Yeah.
For this year. And then.
That would be a success problem. There you go.
60 is a lot, so.
Yeah.
I
Well,
wanna
it's
say
right around that.
47, give or take.
It was
but I
quite
wouldn't
few.
Yeah.
Put my hand on the Bible and swear to that.
They should have been 40-some. No, I mean.
Yeah, I don't see no problem. with
Well, if we can get the towns to help financially support it, it'll help us keep the
Yeah.
prices lower too for the families. Everyone's struggling.
What was the? Saving? Was it $3?
I sort of remember $15 a child and $20. For two.
Oh, maybe that's. what it was.
But I could totally be wrong about that.
I think it's been the same price for
I
years. We definitely want to
participated.
look at that.
That would be up to you if it's a town run.
Maybe she
Yeah.
said she remembers $15
Right.
a child.
Yeah. But I think it's been this,
35
Yeah.
years.
So maybe it was $20 and then any child. after that.
$15 a kid,
Yeah.
that makes better
but that,
sense.
but that doesn't mean, I mean, we can look at some towns that are sending kids
Yeah.
for that support and to try to keep that low, but otherwise we can set any new rates. I know, gosh forbid, what the prices are at the YW.
It's,
It's over 100 now,
yes. It's ridiculous. It's
right? There's a long way to travel because so few,
Yeah,
It is
so
just-
it's not so hard to see why our swim lessons.
I raised it to 6. Don't totally.
They choose this.
Well,
Don't
you
tell them
know,
what.
when
She
she
said
said
you could be
since
for
I was
$5
16,
every
and
half
that was
hour.
how long,
Way
it's
back.
been 44 years. since
Well,
I
you
was
know, I used to fill up my gas tank for $5 too, so let's get real here.
Well, you know, it's for dollar.
I really,
19 cents.
I don't,
oh yeah,
25 cents is a big money.
Yeah.
Gas dip below, gas is like.
I got my license in 81.
It's really, really getting expensive. I remember being like, what's happening?
Yeah.
This is how it used to be.
So basically, they're treating this as a camp
Right.
program.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Sort of.
Also a lot of. We'll draw some. Other questions for us?
Still have a lot of work to do. We got a couple of budgets, but you know you have 2,000 out there, and so you need to get a list of equipment, get the prices. Can we count on you guys doing that?
We'll get done.
Leanne has a question.
First, you need to put this on the agenda so you can vote on it.
Right,
Mm.
yeah,
Whether to hire them, they have to fill out paperwork, applications, all that,
Okay.
background checks.
Okay.
Because there's
Yeah.
a big difference
Yeah.
between contracted and.
So,
and-
can you
figure
guys be
out-
ready? We can do that. I mean, we could preliminary do something tonight, but I would rather get it all done at the next meeting where we say we're hiring these 2 people
Well, the
and,
money has to be approved first.
Yeah.
You need a budget for the budget meetings. I guess it's up to you how much you're gonna pay your employees.
right, I'd like to do some research. And somebody must know what we paid them before.
We didn't pay them before.
We did.
No, the rec committee paid them.
What
They
the
last
vote-
they paid us $2,000.
Divided by 3.
Like, so it's divided by 2.
Two.
Yeah. And I totally did the days. I totally did the were out.
Right, so we had the 2 days that I was out, like, we do all,
Yeah.
Last day or whatever. But it was broken down on the town, it was $1,000.
Yes.
I don't,
No,
my
it was-
sister doesn't plan to get a year down this summer.
Whew, that's a good sign.
You know,
You are going,
it's ready to go again.
you are going to Greece.
My sister last year went to Italy, then she went to Spain, then she got married. Like the summer.
Wow.
So she must have had a heck of a bachelorette party then, huh?
We did Italy or Spain was not the bachelorette parties. We just went whitewater rafting for bachelorette. It's fun. Up north from Canada.
What rafting companies you use?
Gosh. Three Rivers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 Rivers, yeah.
We had a great time.
I've been several times with Magic Falls and Yeah, and the place for the brew pub, I can't remember what that's called, but
Oh, yes.
yes.
Oh, my God.
But we went there and I was like,
Did you not
is this a
go?
rafting
Yeah.
company or a restaurant and a brew pub? But afterwards, my body hurt, so I was really, big one.
My
Yeah,
sister Abby
that
worked
was
for
really
the-
awesome. I was so sore.
Then too.
I was
Both
so
worked
sore
for
at the end of
rafting
that day.
companies At one time, so I had a chance to go to that. That was fun.
All off the raft.
Oh, jumped off.
Oh, yeah,
Well, you don't jump off in whitewater, but you know. there's-
after it
there's
slows
parts-
down.
There's parts where the river is
Really flat.
quiet.
We did
and
budget
first
for
it's
new robes and we.
Right in the thick of summer, so the water was warm.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was really nice.
And you know, part of that budget that we're talking about, you might want some big tubs to put in your supplies, to put your supplies in so that they stay in one spot and easier for you to hold, or like a basketball bag, maybe those netted bags, just something so you can keep it easier to transport.
We've got. That. We might- one of my questions that I was just brainstorming is. My understanding is there's 2,000 this year that's not gonna be spent on lessons this fiscal year. If we paid for one certification, could we use some of that for our other certification if we were to get both?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
see why not. We can fit the equipment in the certifications in that
So-
$2,000. It was budgeted.
Prices on that.
So
Well, that's what I'm hoping you guys will get together, because we gotta put a budget together, then we gotta put it on the agenda and get everything situated.
Just down the hall.
So we'll get pricing for the building, we'll get pricing for, do you think we need to throw, or do you think we need just a buoy? In my
Like a
head,
lifeguard too?
in my head, realistically, that is a life-saving device. Realistically, we're not going to leave the water to go back and get that unless we have a child over their head and it's a spinal. Which again, I'm probably,
But then
not you and I can touch, so I would not put them on the buoy.
Do
I would
we
just-
backboard?
I don't know, do we need a backboard?
I don't know what's required.
Well, you know, a backboard could be handy if you had some kind of spinal injury situation, but you know, it's not a diving kind of a beach.
Right.
So I think it's less likely that you're gonna have that. And the other thing is, remember, everything you get, you get to lug out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
I-
backboard might not be what you really
Well,
want.
That's the thing,
When I'm, well, and I'm envisioning, because I envision it all from the years, but if there was a spinal at that beach.
We're gonna
and
call an
maybe
ambulance
one
to the
person's
gate.
holding The spinal. The other one's getting a phone calling 911, and we're simply providing them like.
Stabilizing
Yeah.
until around in one thing.
And they're gonna come in with the backboard, right? So I'm thinking for town beach that's treated as a camp. I know as a Girl Scout camp counselor, we have to have a backboard at the beach, but we also have the shed, we have the storage, we.
Yep. Well, that's why I mentioned, you know, something to carry it all in, or Leanne was perfect with the wheels, that big wagon and.
Yeah.
Can't have a shed, so it'll be burned.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
But you're not gonna carry a backboard in it.
Those
And
are,
I
No.
think your point of it being a shallow water, no
You
diving.
know, I mean.
I don't know liability.
There's no raft for them.
So that's what I'm thinking, you know, now, it's entirely possible that some rogue person, probably not associated with the swim lessons, goes down to the, railroad trestle and jumps off and needs a backboard, but you know.
We're not
taking
responsible,
their-
but I would
taking
assume
their
that,
Life in their own hands at that point,
Okay.
that's just,
it's certainly
Alright.
not related to the swim lessons, as
So-
far as I'm concerned.
and I mean, that's the other thing, is like, any kids that are with us in the water the first day, we talk about, like, okay, let's stay safe in the water, we're not diving head first in the bottom, you know?
So.
Right, and we're not going way down the beach.
Right.
To the railroad trestle.
Buoy, noodles. Find out what the cost of our classes are, write that up, and that to bring that to whatever meeting or put it in letter form.
Yeah, the budget committee starts meeting in April, so I'm getting the books together now.
I believe, we have something in our packet that requests numbers by February 15th.
Well, requests were due December 31st, but
But-
that's for you guys.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
but I got, that's the date. that's
so
on
we're
my
just to put additional pressure, we just need you to get those numbers together as soon as you can, including your certification numbers, so we can get them.
Yes.
And if one's taken at one, let's get it in the budget for next year for, unless you've got plenty of, I don't know what this all costs, so the $2,000 you got to budget with.
Nice. Well, I was gonna ask, do we know what the ropes are? Do we not need to worry about that? Do we know what the buoys and like, do we need to pull that money?
We have budget for that,
Outside.
right,
Okay.
The swim area.
but the rec committee specifically budgeted $2,000.
Sure.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think you like it.
And I don't think we need to.
It does not, I was just looking to see if I could cost up quick, but it's, I'm happy to dig deeper into the website.
So it'll be on the next agenda, you said?
Yes, I think we can get this, in 2 weeks, we have another meeting. And it would be great if we could get this all, I know, but if we could get as much of it together so we can vote on it.
Is it-
Well, today's the 1st, so that must be the 15th.
It's just the next week is vacation. I mean,
And I'll contact Marcus because in his paper, it says they may or may not cover swim instructors and as employees.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Says your insurance company may or may not cover swim instructors as employees or something like that in here, so I'll just check with them, make sure.
Oh,
Yeah, you wouldn't have, right. Right,
I will say when I ran my own business, I paid $600 for $1 million of coverage. And it followed me in my own backyard pool, followed me to hotels.
Yeah.
Followed me other places, so, and they asked for certification. That's all they ever asked me for.
Yeah.
So. I would ask for them.
anyone know what they used to do to advertise the swim lessons? Did they have a flyer? Did they have an email base? Do anyone know what Ramsey did?
My
Or Elizabeth
understanding
did.
is the flyer went out to distributed by the teachers at Canton Buffalo.
Well, the other thing is Ramsey always posted on the whole thing.
There was also the list of this.
So, but what they did was successful, so we certainly want to
Yeah.
model getting word out.
Yes.
And people are used to being communicated with that way, if it went home in
Yeah.
backpacks or
And
something.
Dana, you said you were gonna speak to Elizabeth. I think she's, you know,
Mm,
generally speaking, when one group quits, it's always super helpful if they can help the new ones to get straightened around, but we do not have a rec committee at this time, but she's the one to ask. I don't think Ramsey's even in town at all at this point, but Elizabeth, was she may be going away for a week, she is gonna be back, and she would have an awful lot of these answers.
Well, I will say that Ramsey gave me all the paperwork that I have, so.
Fantastic, yeah, good, good.
So you probably want to make sure the fees for the lessons even out the cost.
Well, if we could find out what the towns are contributing to, so we give a better idea. And I want to look at what Paris is charging, Norway, Paris, and what, not that we're gonna go as high as theirs, I'm guessing they're more than what we charge, but just to make it,
My
Sweet.
understanding is where each town contributed $500. I don't know where it came from, don't know where.
I don't think it was 500,
Okay,
not all of them. I'll have to
Okay.
look, but I think there was a 300.
mm-hmm.
okay. Well, and then that's why I wrote that letter, because I'm like, no.
I think the Mothers Club was 230,
Yeah,
they're all different.
They were all different.
So it makes me wonder if they want paying by
by the kid.
by the kids.
Oh, well, didn't
Or
you
were
say
they
the
just-
kid was paying by the kid?
Canton paid what, my understanding was Canton paid something in as the town, and then whatever registrations Ramsey would say, there were.
So,
six
so
Canton
all the,
children
so in other words, all the
registered.
Canton children was basically swimming for free? Because the town
Canton
put
paid
them in
the
town.
town, the town would pay whatever that registration. rate was.
Nice.
But the
Yeah.
other towns.
I thought I see a figure, something about Canton was 500 and something. Did you see that anywhere?
are you looking at me or Sue?
You, I,
Did they
thought
pay?
I thought I see somewhere where it was 500 and something. I noticed Sumner's Mothers Club was 230,
I can look it up for the next meeting.
but I think,
Yeah, cause I was thinking, that's what I was, like, it was the parent committees of the schools that paid towards this, so maybe it was year by year too. Based on, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Even at this school have a parent committee club.
Yeah.
That we could approach about finding some information, offering that, yeah. that's a good-
Just remember that if you let them have swim lessons, then you're gonna have to let them use the beach for the rest of the season, so that's more kids.
Yep,
More cars.
Right,
but we have more parking. But
not yet.
we don't have, isn't there like a little bit more?
not
It'll be a
finished
whole
yet.
other year before we get,
So,
at least, before we actually have more parking.
so
Yep.
last year, it was different in that if it was, they got a parking pass just for the 2 weeks of swim lessons.
And then they could buy.
wanted.
Mhm.
Right.
They were out of town and they wanted to get a pass and they purchased like an.
That's
additional pass.
correct,
And that would
So
be,
it
that would
may
be
not
still
be
correct.
All families, all summer.
right. Because those rates are already established. We paid those last year for the swim families.
For the parking, pass, but not the registration.
Right, now the registration. What did they have for, did they have something to put in the windshield that said swim? Cool. Did we do that or did Elizabeth and Ramsey?
Ramsey and I worked on it together. I can't remember who printed them. I think I printed them for her. I'm not sure.
Awesome.
Right, because they were different colors. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For swim lessons.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, those are the dates we taught lessons last year.
There you go, the dates are
July 10th through July 21st. There you go.
So this year, it just be a week with you.
All right. Anything else that we need to cover?
My only other wondering is if we get this all settled and established and people are gonna come in and register with us for lessons. Do you want us here in this building and then to come to you to pay
They
Or do
can't
you want
register
us-
when they pay.
down there? Or do you want us just to give you the paperwork and you handle? Because I'm envisioning us contacting previous students, so having that list and who's time set up.
I don't think
Yeah.
they're all gonna come on the same day.
Oh, because that's what we did last year.
Oh, well,
And that's
great.
what my-
Yeah, just set,
That's
have
what my
registration day and
understanding
they'll all
was.
show up, same as you have, dog vaccination day.
Yeah.
Just
And
Yeah,
tell
but
them
what if I have other
themselves.
customers? Why can't they come anytime?
Well, and that's my point, I don't want it to be inconvenient for you, and that's what I'm trying to logistically, how do we
Yeah.
organize this? Because last year Ramsey, Elizabeth, and the volunteer from Sumner was here that had done it before. And so Victoria and I kind of met the kids and did the.
Right.
Did they use this building?
Yeah.
We used this building, they did all the parking passes, they did all the registration,
Suggestion
they did all.
that if you had it one registration day like last year, and you have a new assistant clerk, your assistant clerk comes here and does that registration and parking passes with them right here when they do the registration. While you work,
Well, they still have to go over there and pay the money.
Well, you could have one of either Leanne or the assistant over here and just have the people that come, the
Take the
kids,
money.
they either pay with cash or they have to pay with.
But they need a receipt in the computer.
Oh.
We can't do anything underhanded over here.
No,
Well, they took all the money here last
Yeah,
year.
I know, because it was separate from the town.
right.
Gotcha.
you want.
So that's my question.
Okay, see,
And do you want to, like, I literally live up the hill. Like, I could say this day for 2 hours, this day, I could come down here and be of whatever help in whatever way, or I don't know.
What, I'm not familiar, what are the hours of the office?
Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 1.
Maybe we just could do it on 2 Saturdays. 2 hour window, Saturdays. I guess I am gonna just do this kind of.
Or was it on a Saturday last year?
Yes.
So she needs money, she needs that, we have the classes set up with the students we already know, we've set up time and thing. If Leanne or the assistant get children that have not been in lessons or we don't know where to put them, do we just have you have a list of the names of the kids, the ages, to make me, or is that where I sit down in the office for a couple of hours and we make it a couple of sentences from here to there? Because that you have what you need for record keeping money and things, and I can keep track of numbers of students and what lessons and not really.
Well, if they come in, fill out a registration paper, I take their money, give them a receipt and a parking pass. I can print you up a list of who paid.
I guess my only concern is that if it's a kiddo that we had last year, that we say, oh, for the finish group, we do super easy. But if you get new kiddos, we don't know what their skill level is, and
Oh,
last
is there
year.
a different price for each skill?
No,
No.
but it's grouping, it's putting them in different groups, so like we have the low, like the little swims, or we have the more advanced swimmers. Because we're teaching different skills, and last year we were able to ask the parents, like, how comfortable are they in the water, you know, like what. Can they float, can they blow bubbles, and that helps us put them in the right group development.
And
And you
to,
have to do that when they register?
and to control class
It's all class
sizes.
sizes, yes.
Well, then do it over here then, and just let them over there to pay. I don't know.
And I mean, maybe we do it on like 2 different Saturdays, so that we don't just like, it's not like all day long we're getting bombarded with. Well, but like we say, like from 12 to 2 on this Saturday, and 12 to 2 on the next Saturday, or 10 to 12, whatever.
Okay.
And then just those 2 hours would be like, we just. do
Yep, just do 10 to 12 here and then send them over there to pay.
Because she's open till 1, so.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
We just,
She said that.
Or 1 to 2, because I'm gonna be all by myself with other customers.
Right.
The other girls don't want to work.
Right.
Or, I mean, I can do it on a Thursday.
Right, you know, it's
But you
not-
gotta be able to get the families in that are probably working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, when I was done, I know, we'll figure it out.
All right. Cool. We have another meeting in 4.5 minutes. No, all good. Very productive.
And the range is for. No, boys.
And.
Right.
Okay, right, classes.
Diagrams for town contacts and previously. Contact Ramsey.
We all paid Hebron, right?
were-
Yeah, yeah, we did.
were counties contacts. And
Where did it go? Took a screenshot.
No, everything.
That's not the one. It was of, there it is. RSU 10, building grounds and track. What was it doing?
Oh, yeah, I see
Substitute
that.
driver is 1850 custodial. Plus, I'm just thinking of what we pay in and where we're gonna need to go up.
You mean with them?
No, talking about Steve. That's why I took a screenshot. Those are his maintenance pay. I'm sure he's gonna be asking.
What's he doing now?
Don't we pay
15?
14?
Is it 14, 15? Yeah, he should probably get that.
Yeah, that or 16.
Mhm. Yep,
This is driver and he's not.
right, right,
But
right.
I just wanted to use that as a, because that's an RSU and it's usually
Mhm.
pretty good gauge of pay. So it's just a point, but this is you know,
Yeah. Right.
Grade 12.
Yep. Oh, yeah, I'll sign that. Where's the big one?
Thanks for coming, you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys wanting to continue. Does Jaylene pronounce her last name Ganya? Say that because my name gets butchered. I wanted to make sure I pronounced it right.
Yeah, but you can't, you know, they want to be able
You're taking me off the committee. I'm not doing it, but I never did it. I go, who told you that? Where's my word? I said, but you need to go to those meetings.
Yes, you missed 3 and you're out.
Right, I said, we got rules and they can't,
Anybody missed 2?
you can't operate without,
Yeah, you've already missed 2.
right. He was all pissy with me. I thought, "Hey, Ben, you don't understand the committee that I'm taking it on, just come to the meeting. So you know, and then let's take it on. I don't know where you heard that from.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know how we have to do it, have to do it. I've got planes that are wide enough, but they're not electric.
So why do we cut so many checks to Eastern Salt all at once?
Because we pour lots of salt on the roads.
So we pay per storm to the salt guy or?
We pay per load, but we
Per
put
load.
loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads.
Per load.
And we definitely have plenty of need for that.
Mhm.
I just didn't know why we,
Mhm. We paid per load.
We could argue over there about how much we have to need compared to how much we have to use. But the lower we get, the lower.
my favorite hardware store, Giles. They're so good up there.
The president signed it.
And I have just some follow-ups regarding what's not this, ACO and.
President signed it.
Yep. Thanks. Good, good. Good.
So all of this, we paid $45,000 and change to bin meal for health insurance. For what it's worth.
Everybody else signed this, right?
I think I did, maybe I didn't.
No, I think you did.
I thought,
Yep.
I looked at it. And that's why I noticed. It says the check for bin is, it's listed under town clerk health insurance. Look at the payment for bin.
Look at the payment.
Yeah, look at the listing. Look in. Probably no big
Lovely.
deal, but
I
I just,
guess, yes, so that is a big deal. I will fix that.
do you know, I just thought I did put an underline because I thought, well, that seems odd.
No, because I thought I entered
just see
the
the figure.
insurance payment and then when I went to check everything, it wasn't there, so I re-entered it.
Okay, well, there you go.
Whoopsie.
Stuff happens.
All right, I would like to call this meeting to order and it is 7:03 and thank you all for coming. Who do we have on Zoom tonight?
Mike McCluskey and Lenny,
Who is here? Lenny and,
Mike McCluskey. I think he's the president of the Lake Association.
I think he is the new Commodore.
Awesome. All right, first order of business is we would like to approve the minutes for January 18th, select board meeting. Did everyone have a chance to peruse those yet?
Yes, and I have a comment about the minutes, on number 6, it says, planning board, it does say that Peg, Matthews was here elsewhere, but it says, a planning board member stated that she's been working on the LD 2003. I guess I feel like if somebody is a board member, that rather than just saying a member, we should tell who it was that was doing the work.
I was given holy hell for putting names in the minutes.
A little while back.
Yep.
Of
think that was you.
Of committee members who were doing work on something?
I was told not to put names in the minutes.
Didn't matter what it was.
Well, thank you for doing it that way.
Remember that.
I did see Governor Mills had stated that they did get disaster funds allocated, so that was really good. We've been waiting a long
Brian
time.
Bacon.
Yeah. Win-win. So will we accept the minutes? No amendments? I make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Yes, I can.
All in favor? Also January 30th.
You did.
I was close. Yep. All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve warrant 15 and payroll warrants for January 24th and January 31st, 2024. Have we got those signed already?
As amended, right?
Second it.
Give Lee a chance to sign them.
Minutes are good.
Okay. All in favor of approving warrants 15 and the payroll warrants for January 24th and 31st? All right. RSU 10 report, anything? Okay,
You guys sent you an email, they're having an open house in the new school. I don't know the date.
Groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking.
yeah, out on, yep. There's a lot of, they've done a lot of work over there already. They broke ground, but not for the school, I guess. They got all the,
You're invited.
everything fenced off and the road going in and, yeah. Okay, road report. Did I miss that?
He didn't submit a report.
I don't see nothing.
I'm just complaints that I haven't received an answer from him yet. I'm supposed to check it out.
And you've given Mr. Bem, or you're going to?
He has, he's have it, it's just, he was gonna check it out and get back to me, he hasn't.
Okay. Is there any action we need to take right now? Besides just,
Just let-
yeah. All right, constable report.
They're very quiet, nothing,
Love that.
no one's calling, complaining, that's good.
Right. No beach traffic.
You
No,
haven't been down to the beach? What's going on?
the other day, someone mentioned something about vehicles, they're trying to plow, wherever get calls, you know, something, I might get a call on, like, the plow trucks need something for a vehicle. They have, you go to the home, knock on the door, and ask them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the town has sent some letters out to residents who are regularly parking in a turnaround or on the side of the road so the plows can't get by. And so I guess it's possible that you might be called on for such an occasion. Better that than to have the plow truck driver do it.
And as a part of that, Kathy went and talked to a family that had got a letter, right? You got the letter already. Okay,
Bear Mountain. Yep. Yep.
all right, CEO report. Do we have anything?
The only thing I know is the dog that was turned in, the 3 copies.
And he's away, right? Oh, good. Rodney Harlow,
No, really?
yeah. 3 copies. I asked him to submit his logs for November and December, because we hadn't received them yet, so. Scott's was reaching out to him regarding
Would we move?
regarding the house he placed on Town Farm Road, 2 halves.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Was it-
Okay,
You said you asked him about it or you?
no, he was going to reach out to him. I asked Scott about it because when I drove down looking at the junkyard, I came down to whatever that is, 140, 219, and I just saw that house sitting there, and I go, somebody just put that house there.
No, it did not just arrive.
It, right, it didn't just plant up. So,
But
and I
that's
hadn't
been
seen
there
it.
For some years.
No. This is on the other side of the road.
There's another one?
Yes,
Oh, for crying out loud.
across the street.
The other side. And that,
Oh, up on the top of the hill.
yeah, he bought that 60-acre piece of, lady had up there, he bought that property.
Oh, brilliant.
Another
And he
junkyard.
put a modular, 2-half modular in there. And, but I didn't know who did it. I just said, Scott, I don't remember seeing any permits come through. Do you know what that is? He goes, where is it? So I told him, and he went out and he goes, you're right, there's a new house there.
Well,
No permit, nothing.
No? So Scott was reaching out to him.
Was that, improved lot? In other words, is there septic and well and all this on that lot?
I think it might have been a mobile home that was originally up in there,
So he's just,
dragged it down.
and then you just talking about the actual Matt McMorrow property? No, somebody else lives up there. Irvine's. So this is way up on Irvine's property or?
Oh, it's sitting
He
right
had
next to
hers
the
way
road.
The hell up the hill.
It's like hardly any setback either, so I was just like, you couldn't help but miss it when I drove by.
So it's definitely not way up the hill.
Nope.
Hmm.
So, but Scott was looking into it and I haven't heard back.
Okay, great.
Besides that it was Rodney Harlow's and he didn't have a permit for it, so it wasn't ready to be lived in yet either, but he should have had a permit before he moved it there.
Stop.
Well,
So they'd have to use Scott to get one, yeah.
in shoreline zoning, if you go ahead and do something before you get a permit, you face trouble. Building permit. In other words, 3 times what you would have paid if you'd gone and got your permit in the first place. But outside of shoreline, I don't know that I recall that.
Do we need an occupancy permit too? I mean,
We don't
We
have
don't do that.
occupancy permits, but we have building permits, and just because you're not building a mobile home, you still have to have a permit to put
Right,
it on the
Yep,
location. On top of that, we do have a mobile home or mobile home park ordinance. The states how a mobile home has to be set on a concrete pad,
Mhm.
and it has to have skirting, and it has to have a roof. I guess a double wide already has a roof, but yes.
yep. And
Yeah.
it should have septic and well, right, Leanne?
This came up before, Scott said that it's not clear in the ordinance. He says that's only for mobile home parks, not every mobile home in town. I don't.
Well,
I
it was
thought they had to
intended,
have
it
a
was,
cement
it was
pad.
intended for mobile homes, period,
Mhm.
but it did get put in on account of, some folks, a nosy neighbor said, what are you doing? What are you doing there? I see you're clearing some land, and they said, put them in a trailer court. And, that got right back to the select board at the time, and they hurried up and got an ordinance ready to go, so that there'd be a mobile home park ordinance, so there'd be an ordinance just in case. But I seem to remember that was to cover other mobile homes in town as well.
Said it's not clear that. it's
Well,
not
maybe
written
we need to
cover
put
all.
we need to have another one come to the, yeah, maybe we need to have another one come to the, ordinance come to our town meeting for amendment. If that be the case.
All right, planning board report, which she just gave us a report last week. Last,
You skipped ACO.
sorry, ACO report. And we do have logs in here. And we received a notice that her certifications were up. And I contacted her, and she did her finals training that she needed to do, which expired at the end of this month, and she was supposed to submit those.
Yep, she did today. That's the form, and these are all her certificates. If you want to look at them, I need it back.
So. And the state hadn't been collecting any of the trainings for a while since COVID, so they were looking for any training since 2020. So I was like, wow.
What is that for?
This is for the animal control officer. There are certifications that are required, and so many every year, and some of them expire. And so, but we got a notice from the state saying that hers was expiring or had expired, but they actually expired on January 30th, or 31st, so she's got, looks like they got them all in order. You wanna see? And I see her logs in here too. Did I see her log in here? I thought I saw it.
I don't know. She submitted one this week.
Okay. Moving on to planning board report. I believe that Peggy talked about planning board last meeting. Yes. And They will meet this coming Monday.
I
Yep,
think we
okay.
can look for a planning board, we may look for a planning board report after the meeting.
Sure. Yeah, no, Peggy shared a lot last meeting, so, too. All right, fire warden report, anything? No,
Ordinance.
oh, ordinance committee. Yay, Bonnie.
I'll be sending the ordinance committee agenda this weekend and, hopefully we'll have a, forum this time so that we can discuss the draft and the spray ordinance.
And your meeting is on,
February 7th at 7 p.m.
It's. Okay, yep. I'm gonna throw one.
excellent, thank you. And I speak on, I'm sure for all of us, you're doing a great job. I'm sorry that you've had a lack of participation, but we're gonna work on that.
Are
we? And he's Terry too.
Oh, secretary too.
Now, it seems to me at one point or another that if somebody, any member of the committee failed to attend for 3 meetings in a row, that they could be deemed to have submitted their resignation. Is that not true?
That's what's in the administrative ordinance.
That's my understanding.
But the chairman has to bring that to you.
And you have people that missed 2 so far?
One will be missing 3. If that person doesn't attend on Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you. Fire warden report. Nothing? Okay, treasurer's report. Right, you're,
I'm sending 45-day foreclosure notices tomorrow for 2021 taxes. They foreclose March 16th. There's I think 11 properties. Somebody just paid, so I'm not sure if it's 10 or 11.
okay,
About it.
how is our investment account doing with Fleet, with North Star, Northeast Bank? Excellent. We'll need to be scheduling employee reviews too, if we're gonna put any raises in the budget, is that correct?
Before July, we usually have them.
Okay.
End of June.
Any questions for Leanne? Right. On to the cemetery committee report.
We had a meeting on January 21st. We had 8 people attend, 7 members and 1 guest. It's like 4 members attending. We appreciate that. We had a 1.5 meetings, had a lot of discussion over priorities. We talked about plots inside of the city, costs. We haven't made any recommendations. That's still a key member that we want to have a meeting that wasn't there. help us in plot size and plotting out, two of the cemeteries that are open cemeteries, Sparrow and Fuller. So we're gonna, schedule another meeting to have a workshop to work on plotting those out. We table until the next meeting. We haven't set that date. I'm waiting to make it, so that this is what we can make it.
Excellent, thank you very much. Is there a solid waste committee report?
Only briefly, the next solid waste committee meeting is scheduled for February 14th, and as currently, I'm only aware there are 2 members, that's the.
You're gonna do it on Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
You're gonna talk about crap on Valentine's Day? I'm sure I have no plan, so maybe I'll go. All right, calendar reminders. We have the Democratic Caucus, February 4th here at Hartford Town Hall. We've got Planning Board meeting, February 5th here at 7 p.m. Ordinance Committee meeting here, February 7th at 7 p.m. Solid Waste Committee meeting, Friday, the 14th at 6:30 on
On the 14th.
you were born on Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, sweet. We should all go out after the Solid Waste Committee.
There's not that many people who claim to be holiday.
I know.
My mother got chipped.
Let's see. Okay. And next we have unfinished business. Bulky waste.
So since the solid waste committee hasn't been meeting much, I updated the flyer. I just threw numbers in there about how much wood you can bring, I'll put out. It's up to you how, what you wanna put, but I was just putting maximums that they
Maximum
can
amounts.
leave out. We just gotta figure this out before we advertise it, cause I usually send a flyer out with a tax reminder or it's.
Well, it's, you know, it's good to have that, one of the things that I noticed was the notices from other towns. Looking for it now, I don't know what else to do. Because I noticed that some of the other towns that, yeah, let me see, yes. How can I find this? I know I have this in my packet, but I don't. Did I set it?
We definitely want to have a really
No, I was
clear,
noticing this, and I noticed that in New Sharon, it says right on there, it is illegal to bring trash and large items from other towns to New Sharon for curbside pickup. And it occurs to me that it might make good sense to state that on our flyer as well, because we know stuff comes from other towns.
Okay.
So it seems to me that struck me as being very, very sensible. I mean, for the most part, they're pretty much the same as us. I mean, their tire prices are higher than ours are. But you know, we set our tire prices back when I used to run the transfer station.
oh, they were actually getting money for tires before, so that's why we didn't change it last year. I don't know if that's the case now, but. Remember last year you said you thought they were
Yes, but
getting,
Are they may be
We had
getting
to
money
pay.
for tires.
It wasn't much, but we had to pay.
They may be getting money for tires, but we still have to pay to get rid of them.
oh, absolutely. But we didn't change prices last year because we thought that we didn't need to at the time.
Just $2 a ton or something like that?
It was
regular
$2, depending on the size of the tire, under 17 inches.
Yeah.
Good to have a 20-inch tire, but as long as you didn't say more to get rid of them as well as more to buy them.
One of the parts here, painted and or pressure treated wood, maximum allowed 10 4-foot boards. I know I had a couple of people complain and piles were left. Some of the piles were way bigger than 10 4-foot boards.
They will only take up to 4 feet.
Yep.
of anything. That's what they've said before, even hot
Yep.
tubs, you have to.
And I tried to explain to like a couple of my neighbors, and I know I talked to a few of the folks that had piles still left. And they were like, oh, look, I only had this small pile and I made it really tiny, but they cut up the bigger boards and had a bigger pile. So, but
But I just stuck that number in there. Some
Yeah.
people, the other towns, what was like 4 boards or something.
Rumford, they say that Pleasant Street Wood and Railroad ties must be separated from plain wood, but another one of these towns wouldn't take any wood unless it was just pressure treated and railroad ties. Yeah, see, wood, town of Roxbury, wood, only pressure treated wood and railroad ties accepted, maximum length is 4 feet. Because, let's face it, if you're in a town like Roxbury, or Hartford for that matter, and you can't find a place to put old boards to rot down. I mean,
or cut them up and put them in your fire pit or,
you know, there are
little
things
fire
to do
thing,
with
yeah.
old pallets, stuff like that, there's no real good reason why we should have to be paying for people to get rid of their old pallets. I know what to do with the pallets, but God. And it's not that hard, actually, it's kind of fun to burn stuff.
I love the idea on the last page. It talks about separating your waste. All items must be separately piled, not mixed in one huge pile. So debris goes on one side, demolition or new construction pieces,
Right,
How do you know what's what?
and tires must be separated from the rims or wheels. As it
Yeah.
says here. No liquid solid up to
I know for the-
consistency with sawdust, kitty litter or sand. The
I
cover
put it
would-
all-
Try to go out.
They leave it, I go back and take it.
Well, you know, or
Yeah.
on the other hand, you could read the flyer and only put
Yeah.
out the stuff they'll actually
Sometimes you
take.
can't determine what they're taking, what they can't.
You know. You think you can.
That's why we need to clarify some things
yeah.
for Archie's and the town.
I think that we should limit it to 2 pickup truckloads would be the maximum amount we're gonna pick up.
What's that?
That's a lot.
I know it's a lot, but I've seen people
What's that?
that's the size of a house. On the end of,
So
I guess it's Blueberry Lane. There's an enormous pile. There's no way that one house
Well,
every year has this,
And the
this
thing
half
is-
this room
the thing
full.
is, you know, if you have pulled down your old rotten deck, or if you have had a major bathroom remodel, or you know, or some major project, that's when you hire a dumpster.
Right,
That's
yeah.
when you hire a dumpster, you don't just expect the town to take care of that. I can remember when I ran the transfer station, of course, this was, you know, more than 20 years ago. Fella came with a trailer and he had stripped off his entire roof, and he had all the shingles from his roof. And he wanted to fill that dumpster right full. And I had to tell him, I said, you know, that's not what we do here. This is for your trash. This is not, you know, if you are doing a major project, you hire a dumpster. I had a roof put on last year, and they came with a trailer, and those shingles came off, and they went right straight into that trailer, and went and dumped it at their expense somewhere. I don't know exactly where they went with it, but certainly didn't end up in the Hartford monkey waste.
Ken?
Maybe it would be a good thing to consider not having any wood waste at all. When maybe 1 pickup truck load. Because, you know, last year, if I remember right, when I questioned how much it was $25,000 is what we spent last year in 1 week of bulky waste pickup. That was for 1 week, 25,000.
But if someone has, you're allowed to do like a mattress in Box Spring. If you say that 1 pickup truckload, that limits them. If they've done that and they've got an old refrigerator out there, that's all they're gonna. There's your pickup truckload.
Well, I'm just
just
suggesting
want
some.
wood.
Yeah,
on it,
right.
Because it seems to be out of hand at $25,000 expense to
I
the
mean,
town.
well, like I said, and you know,
It-
there's more than one thing you can do with old boards.
Right. You know, I
know,
can't
you could have
say
any-
would be
Anybody with
necessary.
3 acres could probably find a place to dump it on their own property, but if not, and that's why there's such a thing as a
Right.
burn pit. I mean, not, obviously not your railroad ties and your pressure treated, that's why Rumford will accept pressure treated and railroad ties, but they're not gonna accept the rest of the wood.
So do you wanna
Or is it
cross that
painted?
off?
We could
Do
add,
you wanna cross off clean wood or not accepted?
You know, I mean,
$25,000 for one week.
just put
you
the,
know, I mean, there's gonna be
Pressure
plenty of other
treated.
stuff, and a lot of stuff comes from out of town, I swear.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff shows up from out of town.
I really think we should consider not even having a week of bulky waste pickup.
Well, we only have a day
At
of
least reduce it.
bulky
or control
pickup
it.
day, but no.
Just takes them a week to pick it all up.
Well,
This is so much.
yeah.
Sometimes it takes them a couple of days, they get it pretty much done, mostly in a day.
You'd be surprised how much of it disappears after people put it out. And you've got
That's right, that's why you put it
collect all the
out, that's why you put it out a little bit ahead of time.
Bring the trucks here at the town office and have people bring the stuff to the dump. To here.
That's a transfer station. We don't have
That
a
would-
license.
Oh, man,
it was like
They're
that.
not gonna bring their trucks and we. bring
that
our
is
stuff
such,
and
that
the
is,
truck.
that is such a can of worms.
Mhm.
Wow,
Mm.
then you can limit it to what they bring.
How? Who's gonna watch it?
Well, somebody is.
When we had a transportation station, there was a transfer station attendant, and the transfer station attendant was in charge of saying, yes, sorry, we don't take that. And boy, I'll tell you what, you wanna see people who are not especially well behaved. It's the people who come all the way out to the transfer station and found out that they can't leave off their old car batteries. Oh, man. Some people can get quite ugly.
Yeah, I'd love a place to bring leaves and debris, because I've got a tiny piece of property and no place to bring them, and I don't wanna burn them all. That's a
Yes,
lot.
Sure, sure.
So do we wanna add no wood at all, or just pressure treated, railroad ties?
Insulation.
Okay.
You know, I mean, like I said, I mean, I like, you know, I actually like this. The idea of just taking only the wood that really shouldn't be burned.
Pressure treated and
Paint,
railroad.
what about painted? You can't burn, you shouldn't be burning the painted wood.
Well, in fact, that's also true, so, you know,
So the untreated, unpainted wood is not accepted.
I don't think people are gonna go to the work of painting it just to make sure it goes away.
Just pressure treated, painted, and railroad ties,
Yeah,
accepted.
I think that's,
But then again, you're not supposed to put up liquid paint either, so if you take and paint all your wood, then.
Yeah, railroad ties.
Those skidded tires.
Very clever about finding ways to break the rules.
railroad tie, TIE or TYE? Thank you. Maximum still allow 10 4-foot boards. You guys good with that?
Yeah.
Lee, you obviously have something,
10 4-foot boards,
Pressure treated.
pressure treated or painted or railroad ties longer than that.
They have to cut 'em up.
Well, you know, I guess folks will have to cut them up. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, but a railroad, I mean, it does seem to me if you had railroad ties, you get rid of the whole ties once. But I don't know, I mean, how many railroad ties we really gonna come up with? You know, probably not a great lot.
People have to be responsible with some of their stuff. If they've got them too long, they've got to cut them themselves.
Yeah.
I mean.
And there are resources where they can bring things off season. Auburn's got a great center, they just have to pay to offload it.
Is there a weight limit?
Well, is there a way to weigh the stuff as they're picking?
Well, that's one thing.
Well-
How do they load them up?
There's one guy
it?
rolling.
Yeah, and aren't they soaked in tar or
do.
something?
Creosote.
Creosote, thank you.
Well, we don't actually list railroad ties. The other towns did.
Yeah, you know,
I was gonna say, but one guy throwing them into a truck, I can't.
they're rugged guys. And the
Okay.
multiple guys and rugged ones, and I imagine they're wearing gloves.
You believe what they pick up?
Yeah.
It was refrigerators.
Too late for that.
If you look at the current bid that's gone out, the proposed bid, which shows for 50 tons of during cleanup, 50 tons at a tipping fee of roughly $100 is what, 5,000. So it cost us 25,000 last year. So the hauling fee was 20,000, or we went way over 50 tons.
Can bring the bill I could bring the bill with me for the bulky lunch.
So that's what it
Yeah.
was in the spreadsheet we showed in 22 to 23. Bulky
The
waste
total.
costs,
The
the
total.
total, the
Yeah.
total. They didn't have it separated from tipping fee or hauling fee on the bulky waste, so just one cost of 25,000. But on the bid proposal package, it says approximately 50 ton during the bulky waste week. I would think that we must take up more than 50 ton, because 50 ton would only come to 5,000.
I
And tipping
can bring
fee
the
of
bill
100.
for the next meeting.
So, yeah, trying to figure out how to control it better, but then
Right.
again, Archie seems to pick up a lot of stuff.
That's why we're trying to clarify it.
Mhm.
See, I put one wheelbarrow of,
Mm-hmm.
but Kathy was saying
Yeah,
a
we were
truckload.
big.
Oh, I think it's gonna be at least a truckload, if
Really?
not two,
If
yeah.
everybody put a truckload of debris out.
What's that?
At each house, a truckload?
Right, most people don't, but like I just said, if someone has a mattress and box spring they're getting rid of. And a refrigerator, that's a truckload, then,
No, construction debris and plastic materials, maximum allowed, one wheelbarrow is what I,
Well, everybody saves it up all year because it only goes out once.
Get rid of a trash bag, you know, what are you supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't burn it.
Well, the guy down there took his trailer apart, and put it in trash bags, all the insulation, each week you'd see a brand new full bag of insulation for the dump, and they pick it up.
well, he was
Set it in a
creative,
bag.
yeah.
But how many people do that, throw all the shingles in a big green bag, you can't see through it, it's
Well, shingles you wouldn't because shingles are very heavy, you know, so if you had an actual trash bag full of shingles, you wouldn't lift.
I had some old new shingles, never used, that I tried to put a little pile of, there's like 10 of them that. And they left them. So they did not take them. I guess I could have, at the time I just
Okay.
said,
nice walking path.
Sue says one truckload
Keep the weeds down.
of construction debris.
oh, one truckload of construction debris, I meant all together, that's all they could have.
If you read it, it says furniture, mattresses, limited amounts of construction debris and plastic materials, maximum allowed amounts of construction material is one, I put one wheelbarrow. You say one truckload?
And everything, that's all they should have, is one truckload. Maximum amount is one truckload. Has anyone ever seen, I'm just gonna use this as an example, on the corner of Berry Road and Pratt Hill Road, there's been a pile there that's been incredibly, large. Often they start it way earlier, which we don't allow anymore, but if you have one pickup truck load, and your pickup truck is, I don't know, what is pickup truck?
But 6 feet,
4x8,
you know, I mean, most of them are 6.5 feet now.
Some people say you put it out a week after bulky waste was picked up.
Yeah, that's a
Maybe
no.
the next year.
So do you want to think on this or?
Yeah.
So we definitely need to straighten this out before June 20th.
Are we getting any other bids?
we don't know yet, it just went out. But this is for this year's bulky waste, so
What's that?
this is for this year's bulky waste, which is June 20th,
So we still have Archie's for this year,
yeah.
and then, oh, gotcha.
And we could have Archie's for next year, the next 3 years, depending on if we get any bids in and what they look like. Is this a Thursday again, too? Awesome. Okay, so we decided that's what we're gonna do, we're gonna bring this home, look at it and make the final changes next meeting.
I think I could see, we get an awful lot of words here, but it might not be a bad idea to find find a place for a little paragraph that explains to people that if they can't get rid of their stuff at our bulky waste people. Excuse me, or if they have stuff that they need to get rid of in between, which is there's a long way in between. I'd like to have a paragraph there that explains how people can get rid of their stuff in between. I'm pretty sure people can take stuff directly up to Archie's place in Mexico, although we should check with them, and of course, if we ditch them, then that might not be the case. But people can take that stuff,
Auburn,
people can take that stuff down to Auburn.
Yeah.
I think they need to know where they can go with it. And maybe a little bit more information about that.
But I thought you said we could do it up there too.
Well, yeah, but if we ditching, maybe not. I don't know.
we're not ditching them at all. We're putting a bid process.
Well, you know, it's a bid process, but nonetheless, we may not, right? So in any case, I think that it would be a good idea to put something on here. I like the new Sharon where it says it's illegal to bring stuff from out of town to dump at Hartford's bulky waste, and I think it would be a good idea to tell people where to go with their stuff if they get stuff left over after bulky waste time. And that would include stuff that, you know, when you get new mattress in September, and you don't want to wait until next June. And also, if there's stuff you set out there that is not going to be taken, you still need to figure it out. So people need to know where to go.
Do want to mention, I had my mattress in box spring, that's why I mentioned it last year. Encased in plastic bags that my new ones came in. But for those people that had stuff outside, we had rain. We had rain, which all absorbed into that.
Oh
And
my
then,
God, those things get heavier.
and then we
heavier all the
got
time.
billed, of course, for the weight of the,
Oh, yeah. That's what I get so frustrated when folks in my neighborhood leave the dumpster open. It's like, oh my God.
I do too, I have a stick by ours. Let's cover back
I
up.
had to drag mine up with the ATV last year. My mattress.
Yeah.
I left it over on the other lot. Come time for bulky waste, I had to put a chain through the whole thing and
Oh my
that
God.
must have been
drag it all the way.
grade the road while you're at it.
Yeah, smooth it all out.
Mattress
And
surfing?
the kids rode on it for a while.
I was gonna say, somebody had to mattress surf on that. That's for sure.
Good enough, well.
Okay, did we decide that we're gonna work on this
I
or?
believe we decided we would work on it.
Okay. Moving on. So anything else for unfinished business? Because if not, we're going to open session. Anything for open session? Yes, Ken.
I'd just like to know if we have a new status on the Blanchard property on Church Street that went into foreclosure, had lien, then was gonna be put in a realtor's hands last I knew.
Leanne,
Can't do anything till we change our ordinance and our warrant article for town meeting. Because they say to do something and the laws change to do something else.
So our ordinance is different from state.
That's right, there's actually a draft of amendments in our selectmen packet to look at that. Because the law has changed, it was actually a Supreme Court decision, you may remember this, I'm sure you follow these things carefully, but last year, I believe it was, there was, might have been the year before, there was a person who had, who lost their property and the county, I think it was in Fort West somewhere, sold the property and made quite a bundle of it. And, they were gonna put the whole of it into the county coffers, and the woman, sued, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and it was, decided that, anything over the actual county's actual cost had to go back to the previous owner. And that is, of course, become the law of the land, because this is not there's one in the state of Maine thing, this was a Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court decision. And so that is has to be incorporated into our ordinance. Because in our ordinance, it stated, it's in the administrative ordinance, how we would dispose of, real estate property in the way that we have done so for 100 years and more. But of course, that's all changed. So there's no answer on that question.
So I did read in the paper from down East Maine that what the select board in that town voted on was to sell it so that there wasn't any excess amount. So there wasn't any extra to go back to the land.
Well, that's all well and fine, however, because of the Supreme Court decision, correct me if I'm wrong, Leanne, that person gets to determine whether they want to just have it go out to bid
Right.
and take what,
They have a choice.
they have a choice, or if they want to go on the real estate market and, you know, of course, it's a gamble, but the chances are they'll do better with the real estate market and they will get whatever is.
And I thought
Surplus.
Mr. Blanchard decided to put it in the real.
He did.
Right, but I don't think he's, I mean, he owes the town $20,000 plus taxes, legal fees and
Right,
taxes.
plus there's another lien on the thing at this point.
The town owns it.
Town owns it, so there's no lien.
Town's been owning it for quite some time.
Did you have something else you wanted to add?
I have nothing.
Okay,
Boy, he's been making a change for some time. Unless,
Okay, so we'll see an ordinance, an article. in
Kathleen
town
had her
meeting
hand
probably
raised too.
Say that we're just gonna follow Supreme Court
you know, I mean, there's a law.
and abolish what we have.
Kathleen, you had your hand raised after.
Yep.
With Ken.
I just wanted again to, mention.
I'd be happy to share this with you if you'd like to take a quick look at the change in the change in here. With changes in here, you will see that anything that is struck out is going to be crossed out, and anything that is not, there is anything that's underlined is new language. One thing you'll notice is that there's provision for a rec committee in here. And so go ahead and look at this. Rec committee and cemetery committee are both mentioned, but also this change in how we dispose of real estate property.
Okay. Kathleen,
Yeah, I want to bring up the issue again about the missing stop signs. Town Farm Road, I'm gonna tell you, I had a dangerous situation with my 15-year-old grandson driving my car in whiteout conditions, and we came down Town Farm Road. When I left the house, it wasn't snowing. As we got up the hill, full whiteout.
We've had a couple of those storms this year.
Full whiteout conditions,
Yeah.
and there's no stop sign, no street sign, so there's no reflections for you to tell where the end of the road is, and what's 140 is right there. And thankfully, I remembered to tell my grandson, there's no stop sign. He's going 5-10 miles an hour up Town Farm Road, and this is how bad it was.
yeah,
And that sign is not there, that needs to be there, the reflection needs to be there for safety reasons. And that was a pretty scary situation. I'm proud of him because he handled himself so well. Didn't get nervous, he drove.
Sounds like you got nervous.
First
Yeah.
time ever driving in snow.
Sounds like Grammy was nervous and nothing else.
No, I was pretty calm. He actually
Yeah.
told his mother, he goes, Mom, if that were you, you would have told me to pull over the side of the road.
yeah,
It took us
Probably would have.
4
Well, that's the
hours
law.
to drive.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, you know,
So can we
There's
follow?
no
Yeah,
reflection. I actually thought the Terrio's driveway that turned in, and the road kind of went this way, I'm like, okay, this is the end of the road, go carefully, and it wasn't. Then I looked, and I'm like, oh, this isn't the end of Town Farm, so, I mean, that's how bad it was really extreme.
we've had a couple whiteouts this summer.
Scary
Yeah.
situation, and if I wouldn't have been in that car, and if he would have been alone, he would have never seen that end of that road.
yeah,
So it's not just me, I'm aware of it, but how many people aren't aware of it and come, I mean, Mahoney Road, is that the one that doesn't have a stop sign?
Yeah.
Town Farm Road doesn't have a stop, the street sign is now gone too, so there's.
Apparently stop signs are really popular.
I don't care, you know what, it's a safety issue, no matter what, you put no signs up, the post is there, how hard is it? You know, you put a few nuts and bolts and the sign back.
The post is there.
the post is there on Town Farm?
The post,
The post is there on
There
Town
is a
Farm?
there is green metal posts.
Yeah,
still
because there's
there.
nothing left
I mean,
on
so
I
Mahoney.
don't think the ground is really frozen anyway. If there's a place where we had to put a post, I think
You know,
it could be done.
Where the
I-
post is there, she said.
Yeah, but
The post
if
is
we had a
there.
place where the post.
Yeah,
is
Mahoney
moved, I think
doesn't
we can
have one.
still-
Yeah.
I think we can still manage it because, I mean, there's
I mean,
places
Jim lives on that road, hello, come on, I mean,
on Gauding Road,
common sense, people. But he
on
doesn't-
Gauding Road.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, if there's an accident on that road, this town is gonna be sued big time. Big time, because this is the third time that I have mentioned it. I called Leanne a couple of weeks ago when it happened. I came to another meeting previously and mentioned it. Nothing gets done, and this is the third time.
Okay,
Do I have to go to the state level and say, look, this town is avoiding issues that are, I mean, come on. Safety,
we'll make sure it's done.
please, I appreciate it.
No, I don't think the ground is frozen.
I see Bim.
There was a place when I took chance on the other day, there's a place on the Gauding Road there. The
Yeah,
plow
one line.
gouged right into the dirt, I mean, you know, the ground is not.
No,
There's also one on Church Street that it looks like they goes, I can't even think it's past the church as you're going towards.
Mahoney Road, corner of Mahoney.
No, not the
No.
only one, as you go further, the snowplow knocked it 3/4 the way over. It's on the corner of, what's that road?
Brian?
Brian, is it Brian?
It's in between George Foss's old house and.
I don't know.
She's not gonna go by it.
I don't know,
Yeah.
Who lives where?
it's after the church, you go up, I don't know if it's camps, it's a dead end road that goes up there.
Yeah, Brian, Brian.
Yeah, it's, the sign's 3/4 the way down, snowplow knocked it over, I mean.
well, we think it could have been a car too, but yeah,
That icy day we had,
it was.
The snow banks were this high, and it's on the other side. of the
It probably
snow.
was a plow then, yeah.
I just think that's a huge safety thing and it needs to be
Okay.
addressed.
Yeah.
Because this is the third time I've been asked.
Well, we have already talked to him, but I know that he's done a lot of plowing and a bunch of stuff, ice lately, but we will make it a top priority for him.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you have some,
Yeah, I have an abatement and supplement for 2 properties that were, which someone sold a house and built a new one down the road, but he was still being billed for the old one. We need to send bills to the right people.
can I send my bill to somebody else?
You looked at my bill or something.
Yeah, but it's all good it's gonna do, because lien's still gonna be in your name when they don't pay.
We need to sign all of them.
Yeah. 2 properties, I think, signing fees.
Okay. It's got a nice pen in our box.
We will need a motion.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the supplemental certificates and that changes for tax abatements so the right people are billed.
A second.
All in favor? Okay, next on the agenda is the warming center.
I don't see. I
He's,
don't see Dan on here. Dan LaRochelle, our health officer, I don't see him on there. So I know he wanted to talk about it.
Yep.
Well, he wrote something about it, right?
Yeah. Did I give you a copy of all my notes from the class?
yeah,
There's a lot that's required.
Well, there's a lot of, definitely. And I haven't had my chance to take this class yet, but one of the things that I noticed in this was that it was very focused on doing what's needed in the city.
Doing what?
I mean, this Lima Mass Care Cooling Center, I'm assuming that's masses of people. I said, I'm saying that this class was focused on that which is needed in the city.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no. I took the class.
You did.
We talked about centers, shelters.
You're welcome.
Leanne, can I speak?
Yeah, who is this?
This is Chris.
hi, Chris.
That class, that class is on shelters, focused on shelters for municipalities. The one that you took. There is no requirement to have a policy in place for what the town of Hartford would want to do. Where you're not setting up a shelter, you're not doing a permanent warming center, you're not doing anything more than, in the event of an emergency, the select board would be able to decide whether they want to open the hall or not for people to charge their phones and drink. There's big difference between a shelter and a place for people to go. You could say that the library is open for anybody who wants to warm up during off open hours. Big difference.
I went to a class on a warming center. That's what we were talking about.
So is the town planning on opening a warming center?
I don't know. That's up to the Board of Selectmen, but
It is up to the Board of Selectmen, yes, but just be very clear as to what you want to do as a town. All right, because whatever you decide in policy has to remain in place. But if you as a select board want to just say, hey, everybody's out of power, we're going to open up the town hall for people to charge their phones. That's totally different than an instituted warming center that is instituted. Now, Auburn has 3 of them. I can tell you what was said in that class we are not doing. We allow people to go to our ice arena during the day, during open hours, to warm up, or to go to our senior center, or to go to our library. We don't have a designated shelter. We don't have a designated building that people must go to or anything. But the intent is you can go to this place during opening hours to warm up. And that's in policy for us. I don't think the town of Hartford needs a policy or to establish a warming center. I think you as a select board, when an emergency arises, has the right to react to the benefit of the citizens. I don't think you need to have something in place.
I think
That's
some
just
of
my opinion, but I don't think that there's a requirement. I looked through the regs and I don't see where that is a requirement. I talked to our fire chief and he was like, yeah, no. And we don't do that in Auburn, but we advertise that people can go and warm up in our location.
I think some of this is in response to Lee's comment that our emergency management person should have been involved, and he was talking about that we didn't qualify to be a warming shelter, and then we had all these trainings coming up, so we were more information gathering, and Dan was sending us more information too as our.
Okay, and I fully understand that, Sue, and I'm not meaning to cut you off, But
Yep.
let's take a look at the situation. Were we in an emergency situation
She's thinking,
at the time?
she's thinking we're putting that group down for using this hall. That's why we bringing this up. This was a free.
No, no, no. I wait, step back. I'm asking if Mr. LaRochelle is our EMA director.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. And were we in an emergency situation?
Mm-hmm.
We were. Where was our EMA director?
He said he was in contact,
I mean,
with Oxford County Emergency Management.
Mhm.
through this
was he in contact with the select board on things that he could do to help the town?
That's a question. for
I'm
you.
just wondering.
Not that I know of.
Nope, not that I know of, wasn't.
Okay, so when we say we're paying somebody to be an EMA director and we're in an emergency situation, that's great that he contacted Oxford County. But if he's not in communication with the select board, did he offer up anything?
And what
No.
did the county do for him?
Well, in Oxford County, it's just saying, hey, these are the resources that we have available. But he's not paid by Oxford County. He's paid by us. So what did he do? So, and the only reason I'm saying that is because the comment was made, what did he do to help out the town? Or what was that you said, Leanne, that somebody asked why he wasn't involved? Is that what it was? Well, that's a good question. What did he offer up the town as our EMA director?
Nothing this
Nothing.
time around, I can tell you that. But,
So
you-
it's fair to ask the question. It doesn't mean there should have been follow-up. It doesn't mean he had a responsibility or anything like that. But it's fair to ask the question, isn't it?
Maybe you should have executive session if you're talking about an employee.
Mm.
Lenny's hands up.
I'm just saying, I'm asking about the question, less about the employee, more about if somebody says, what did our EMA director do? Then you answer. He didn't do anything except he was in communications with Oxford County. But he didn't contact the select board. He didn't see how everybody was doing here. I'm not saying that we should have a judgment call on his actions. I'm just saying if somebody poses that question, answer the question, but we don't have to come up with a policy if there is no need for a policy. If you as a select board can decide in the moment, in the emergency, as to how to act to a situation.
Right,
That is his job to
yep.
it would be.
handle these.
The question, he was on at the previous meeting and Lee had mentioned that it would have been nice to have him at the warming center participating and
We didn't have a warming center.
Yeah, we just did it.
We had
volunteer.
open town hall that had electricity while our neighbors were out of power for as much as 6.5 days. And only a few of them didn't have a generator. I have a neighbor who had no generator, no alternate source of heat. Boy, I'll tell you what, he was down here every night to have some supper. He'd show up at 4 o'clock and sit under the heat pumps going. And he was warming up, but that didn't make this a warming center. This was a place where people could come and charge their phones and see other people and have electricity going on.
Food.
Food, there was a lot of food.
Yeah.
You had a gathering center.
No, we did. We did. You can call it what you want. I don't.
Excuse me, I've had my hand up for quite a while.
Go ahead.
Nobody's looking at it.
I was too. I
Yeah,
was
she
waiting for
did.
y'all to stop talking.
Yeah, she mentioned it.
Lenny, would you like to go now, please?
Yeah, I think what I'm thinking about is how much of the lovely small town feel of our small town do we want to give up? Lee and Kathy were both available that whole time. Yes, mistakes were made. There was not the new heat pumps, got left on. Because there wasn't a detailed instruction on how to turn them off. I took responsibility because I thought there was a main remote that shut them all off. And that was my mistake. I didn't realize I had to walk around and shut them all off. But the fact is that several people in this community went out of their way to cook food and be there and have it available. And Lee and Kathy were always available to supervise, and people got warm. You know, why couldn't we do that again? The select board could put out a call. We need help. Who's willing? You
I don't
know,
think anyone said we couldn't, did we? I thought it was.
well,
a
if you're,
thing that we
if you're
did.
talking about some big policy, you're kind of taking away the small town lovely feel that we had.
Yeah.
Well, I think also, I don't mean to interrupt, Lenny, but I think what you don't want to do is to create something that you now either are obligated to do or to restrict yourself in. I know in our city, we were talking about, okay, well, what temperature are we going to use to open up that warming center? Is it going to be 30 degrees? Is it going to be 20 degrees, 10 degrees? Do we wait till it gets, you know, and so you start getting into these minute details of when you're starting to create a policy. And I just feel as a select board, you know, your decision to open up the town to allow people to warm was based on the circumstances at that time. And I think that's how you leave it, based on the circumstances at the time, you know, or in the event that this were to happen again, or if we're in the middle of summer and we're flooded and that's the only dry piece of land, opening up the town hall so people can have dry land is probably a good decision to make. But I think you do it as an on-case basis and not necessarily lock it into a policy. You could have a policy about, you know, how to use the heat
Yeah,
pumps or, you know, drinking the water or what have you. But, you know, those things are fine. It's just, you know, don't lock yourself into something that you're then obligated to abide by. That's when you get into, is somebody going to be there to unlock the
okay,
town hall?
all right.
Is,
yeah, all right, Leanne.
you
And
know,
what I was saying is 2/3 of the select board was involved, and people were fed and people were warm and people could charge things. And yeah, a few little mistakes got made, but that's easy to fix. But isn't 2/3 of the select board a quorum? I mean, didn't we do what Christine is recommending?
I didn't think we were making any policy. Leanne? Go ahead.
I just want to say, I think there's guidelines for a reason when people get together in a public place. Because some of the things they recommended was fire alarms, AED, first aid kits, accessible bathroom, which we don't have. You know, things that people might need, you know, in case something happened in the crowd.
Right, and so the
that should
select
be,
board could do that.
Well, that's what the training talked about.
but that's also the case if we're having town meeting at the town hall. Didn't see an AED, didn't see first aid kit, didn't see, you know what I'm saying? Like, that should be in all public places at, you know, various times. And certainly there's lots of grant money to get free EADs and stuff like that. But I think that's in the case of all times we're in a public place.
And also interpreters for the deaf, speaking of town meeting.
That's what we gotta get.
Okay, anyway.
Okay, let's see, the Edward McDonald Safety Grant.
Yep, so I would like to have permission to submit this grant for some ergonomic furniture and what else I want. Oh,
$1,300, we have a special, I don't care if they land funded or not.
that wasn't listed. First aid kits, I figured one for each building, salt shed. And a couple of chairs that are ergonomic. Barbara and I both have bad backs and necks and stuff.
Excellent.
You think that's okay?
I think that's fine. Do we need to make a motion to submit this grant?
Evidently. You don't, blows me away.
Did it last time, I just submitted it, but I just want to make sure you were okay with that.
Well, we just better be mighty.
Yeah, I think that would bring us up to a higher, better standard of offering safety stuff?
And the second grant, I think we could get the ballast line in front of the building and front of the heat pumps. There's different prices. I think I gave you two.
Bollards,
Ball, is that what they're
Yeah.
called? Bollards.
bollards, something so somebody can't run into them, you mean?
Right, because weren't you talking about that?
Yes,
Steve?
over here. Yeah, Steve was when he was here.
Well, you never know, people do tend to run into the town office now, don't they?
And I could talk to Bill, get some more cones and
Yep.
traffic control paddles,
You know,
right?
I think that's a great idea.
happened once since 1980, so you just never know.
Do we have room to put any at the front of our building or? It would limit the parking.
office.
Yeah, the office.
Yeah, the heat pump in front of the office.
Okay, and do we need to mark it over here where the railing and the walkway is? Cause they're right there. Do we need to build like a shelter roof or anything, do you think? Aren't all the mechanical stuff right up here on the walkway where the snow
I
falls?
have seen people that put little roofs over their heat pumps, but.
Yeah, but these are safety.
One of the, I certainly wouldn't qualify for safety. One of the things we were going to do though, to improve our accessibility, at one point, we were going to try and, at least I understood we were going to actually move the ramp out to where it was meant to be in the first place. At some point, and so we don't necessarily want to build on to, and build more onto it if it's gonna be moved. Am I right?
I was just talking about
It's on this railing,
the heat pump.
mechanical stuff outside. I think it's on the back side of this
Yeah,
railing.
I should
So,
talk.
but I don't think that would move anyway.
Hey,
You'd be
sweetie, hold
expanding
on
out
a
and
second.
down.
What's that? What'd she say?
Lenny? Oh, never mind, okay.
Yes, I'm here. Did you?
No, we
I-
thought you
No,
wanted
were
us.
talking and we heard you and we thought you were talking to us.
Oh, yeah, my granddaughter just called me. Sorry, I did mute myself.
It's all good.
Thank you.
So, the, two safety grants, I think we should move forward on. I like the ideas. We don't need a motion, okay? Great, annual mailings, town report and tax reminders.
So last year we spent over $2,000 in town reports, $359 each. Almost $300 to mail them bulk mail. Do you still want to do that again this year? I can have them available electronically and have some at the office if you don't.
That's a great
I
idea.
actually really like that we mail them out because then everybody actually gets them. How many do you want? Well, I don't know, but if you had even 2 shares in Walmart, they would send you a quarterly report, never mind an annual report. Am I right?
I don't know, I don't have any shares.
Once you choose to go paperless.
Unless you choose to go paperless. Unless you choose
Yeah.
to go paperless.
Yeah, maybe you should give the option to go paperless.
Yeah.
People can choose, why not? You just take them off the mailing list.
Not everybody got a commuter.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think
I would
that's
go
pretty. I think
They
that's
ask them
pretty.
when they pay the taxes. Then you go.
Some people don't.
I know Bear Pond, newsletter is all
That's what I mean. If you want. why not?
electronic.
Give people the option. It would save some money.
Oh, that's why they could come to the office to pick one up. if they want.
Exactly.
And town meeting day, we always have copies too.
I just don't want to do a bulk mailing because it's,
So
the
awful.
newsletter is having a very hard time.
We can't swap post offices.
No.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we should be able to have where you go.
But
We ought to have our own zip code. So we-
Those were the days. We did have one while, but actually, we had our own post office one time. I don't believe there was zip code back then.
it was too bad we couldn't go to Canton, Turner.
Yeah, some of the turn, some of the.
Well, I don't know if you've even been into the JMO Irish Museum, but that store used to have a post office inside.
That's supposed to come from your home post office.
So what about tax
Zip
reminders?
codes back then.
Do you want to send the postcards again? I don't think they're very
You're
effective.
old enough to remember when you did.
We
Lee,
send-
Lee, can you hold on a second?
Yeah,
You wanna send the postcards again for tax reminders? We used to
Everybody
send the
ought to know
whole
when the
bill, I
taxes
think,
are
I think the whole bill would be much more effective than a card that gets lost in your
Yeah.
pile of mail, but.
Of course, I've never really got the cards anyway.
Everybody ought to know when the taxes are due.
Well, Doug Crest was certain that we made a lot of money with those postcards.
Yeah.
A lot of people said they didn't receive one.
Yeah, don't,
It's like
Well,
I don't think that.
the
would
lowest
be-
class mail you could possibly have.
And it's, looks like junk mail.
it's
Mhm.
kind of lowest grade of mail.
Do away with that.
I could let go of that pretty readily myself.
So send the full bill. Okay.
Yeah, I think people should receive their bills, even though technically that's a courtesy on the part of the town. We don't have to send you the bill, you still owe your taxes. Right.
And this is the second half? This is the second half.
Some people say, yeah, but I didn't get the bill. Well, it didn't mean you didn't owe the taxes.
I know my mother's property in down East Maine, they send you like 2 stubs on your bill. Then it says, this is the only notice you're going to get. There's no reminder, no nothing. That is it.
So
It's
I
up to
don't
you.
know if you're in a position to even know this, but did your mother send out tax bills?
She didn't send out the reminders.
No, sure not, but did she send out the tax bill itself?
No, that was the tax collector.
The tax collection.
So you wanna make a motion on both of these items, so I know what.
So
Everybody had.
do we want to send out reminders? Many towns are not doing that anymore.
No, we need to.
No.
Send out the initial tax bill, this is what you owe. And,
And that's it. That's it.
and put on there, this will be your only notice.
Well, no, I'm talking about this year. We already sent out the initial one. Am I sending out one for May 1st? I can't change the one I already sent out.
Right, no, but
No.
you're talking about the reminder one. We're still gonna send out tax bills
Oh, we are.
once a year. Oh, we're thinking about getting rid of the reminders.
Reminders.
So what Leanne is asking, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, what Leanne is saying, should I be sending out a tax bill for the May portion of people's taxes? That's what she's asking. She's not in head. So that is what she's asking. Should be doing this over again. I would think going forward that once a year would be plenty, but because half the year is already gone out and you're talking about the other half, I don't know, what do you think?
Maybe.
Do you think people will forget, do you think people will forget to pay their taxes if they don't get a tax bill in the mail?
Oh, well, what they've gotten before is that postcard, if they even got it.
If,
Her alternative was, we'll mail out another whole tax bill.
I'd say put in the little slip with a reminder on next year's bunch of bills, but for this.
and you know something, if May comes around and for some reason the taxes aren't rolling in, we'll know that that was perhaps not the best move. I don't know.
You can put it on your Hartford, Town of Hartford Facebook page.
Yeah.
A reminder, the taxes are coming due. I don't
Mhm.
think I've gone to the mail out of paper. Those postcards are being in the back.
Kathleen,
Why can't you do, when you do your bills, do 2 separate things? This one, bottom stub, you tear off, this is your stub for this half, and then above it is the
Yeah.
one for the next.
Have you gotten a tax bill?
We're gonna have those for you.
They do have it.
That's the way it is.
But they have them on there?
Oh, they got there.
Good idea.
So we got it, so what's the point? No, don't send them out then.
so I make a motion that we do not send out reminder postcards as we have in the past. But we will put notices out there that the May tax payments are due on our social media and
Well, maybe
Website.
somebody will have a sign out here and then you can say taxes, ding, 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 all it up.
I like the community board idea.
We should. You could put that in front of the town hall. I mean, right there, you know, that, where we do the potluck suppers. Tax bills.
Yeah, yeah.
You wanna vote?
Oh, so all in favor of not sending
I
out,
seconded it.
thank you, all in favor?
Okay, how about the town reports? You wanna vote on that?
Offer the electronic.
I think it ought to be mailed.
I'm in favor of mailing them out myself. Call
Me
me
too.
old fashioned if you want, and I will wear it like a crown.
She said $3.99 a piece?
To print,
$3.59,
The
the
print,
print.
plus the mailing.
there's a lot of people in town that don't have computers.
Right, but the ones that do, if you offer them the option, because I definitely.
Yeah.
Do that option.
What if we were to mail them out this year and then give people the opportunity to come off the mailing list and we can send them electronically, make it available?
They're not ready to roll yet, they're not even printed yet, so, if putting it on Leanne's Facebook page, her timeline is good enough for reminding people about their taxes, then that's probably a good enough place for a notice that says, if if you would prefer to receive an electronic copy of the town report, let us know.
Instead of.
But I send it out anyway. I send it out to the email list, I put it on the website, the electronic copy.
Okay, so
I'm just asking, do you want them mailed again?
I say mail.
I like seeing the mail, so. I like seeing the mail out, I mean, yes, it costs us something, but, but it is a key hole in the snow compared to solid waste.
So, what if you were to put that as an article and let the town vote on it at town meeting? Too small a decision for the town? And then you relieve of that responsibility?
Yeah.
And the town can vote on it as an article.
Yeah. I know there's probably some older people. Right,
Yeah.
don't really want that.
You know something?
Yeah.
When we-
When it gets mailed, so they don't have to come to the office.
You know something, you're right, and when we first started when we first started getting small, we went back to the smaller sized ones, and we were not mailing them. I used to take a stack of them, and I would ride around to some of the old timers and I'd bring them their town report, and they would thank me very, but tickled me, absolutely. I'm not just happy to see somebody, but happy to get their town report, because
Maybe
Right.
you should do that every year.
I've done enough
I
times.
see the town, Leanne just ask people when they register, would you be interested in having an electronic copy or printed out?
But she's already said
They
it.
don't know.
Well, people, yeah, and some people aren't on the email list, so they're not getting a copy of the town report.
I think it probably happened in baby steps. If people wanted to read it online and you go with an e-copy, they can notify Leanne and she can take them off the mailing list. It'll year after year, it'll whittle it down for them. But it won't cut off, the old
Those that
people
want
that don't ever come.
Yeah.
All they do is put their letter in the mail with their tax bill and they're good to go.
Well, the other thing is, now I know I'm different from a lot of folks, but I have a copy of every town report I've ever had. And if I needed to, I could go back and look to see what did we, what was on the agenda that year. And that might not matter to some folks, but I'd like carrying a certain amount of institutional memory myself, and since the town is pretty important to me, I kind of like that I have those town reports, something I can put my hand on.
Well, yeah, we're not seeing completely stop printing, you're saying.
Oh, imagine so. Yeah, except your mother was more organized than I
I'm
am.
surprised that the house didn't fall down, because my mother had every town report, even back through her parents.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
It was like.
I'm sure she
Okay,
did.
so we need to,
Bless her heart.
A motion about the town report.
so I make a motion that we are going to print the town report with the plan of those people that don't want it can get it electronically.
But we
So
mail.
to all the registered voters in town, right?
I
That's
would
what-
say correct. How the town of Sumner's, done it. We have a motion on the floor, so.
Then I hear people,
Wait, was there a second?
I'll second it.
you said just for,
All in favor?
All in favor?
just people.
Registered voters? Voters in town.
Not
Now,
even property owners?
well, there you go. So, what the town of Sumner's does, or did back when Susan was running the town, they, sent their town report out to all of the voters in town and anyone else who, was a property owner that wanted a copy, could have a copy. They, all they had to do is ask.
Gonna say, yeah, because I've had a lot of out-of-staters complain, why come I didn't get a town report?
They are paying taxes.
Well, and you know, when you come right down, like I said, you know, if you had two shares in Walmart, it's in your quarterly report, and your annual report.
Yeah.
I feel like we've all put in a fair amount.
Wait, so it's always been the registered voters. Are you changing that?
I'm just saying, I thought,
It will be.
I didn't realize it was just registered voters. I assumed it was property owners.
It'll be a lot, probably double or
Oh,
more.
yeah, you know, because the thing is that, like I say, that's why the town of Sumner, if you're an out-of-state property owner and you wanted a copy, you could get a copy. But you'd have to request it. Because, you know, ultimately it's the business of the town, and while
Yep.
you have every right to know what the business of the town is, this is the town's the business of the townspeople who live here and vote here and run the town.
And they can get it electronically right there on our site.
That's
Leanne said
correct.
she posts all that.
That's
Okay.
true, so-
If they want a hard copy, make $5 or whatever.
More than likely, they'd be up in the summer, then grab one out of the office.
Well, they can pick one up at the office, I guess, if they really.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, available at the office.
Okay,
All right.
registered voters,
I make a motion, it goes out to registered voters.
I second it.
so we're gonna vote again?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Here you go.
Okay.
All right.
Registered voters, not every resident either, because the thing of it is that if you have two registered voters in a household,
No, I only send one per house.
she's only gonna send one per household.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, budget survey, town report cover, dedication, Spirit of America Award, board report letter.
You could fill those out for the next meeting.
Mhm.
I don't know who's writing the report for the town report this year. I'll put this on the next agenda.
I'm happy to do it unless someone else wants to do it.
Who's gonna write the town, the select board report?
Said I'm happy to unless you'd like to do it, Lee.
I think you do rights to it, am I wrong?
She did the dedication.
Yeah, I wasn't,
I think, yeah.
yeah, I wrote the thing for Parsons, or tried to. We got a bunch of stuff in last year. I don't know who wrote the last one for town report.
So I have an idea for the Spirit of America.
If you could just fill those papers out, will.
Mm-hmm.
So you want us to each sort of fill it out on our own, no consultation with the others, and then you'll just.
Last year I had you fill them out and then I had one sheet with all the results and then you discussed it, but it's up to you.
I think it's a great idea.
What is the public survey?
Request it again?
What is the public survey?
What's this?
What is?
Survey? Oh, here.
Survey said,
He said survey.
Oh, yeah, right.
She's somebody that was really need on.
Mm-hmm.
She's not in a position to nominate himself.
Right, that's right.
Extra.
Good idea.
Well, there's. Right here, there's four signatures needed, there's 4 supplementals.
It's 2 copies, I have 2 copies of each, so.
Put it in your file here.
okay, next on the agenda is the winter road opening order of Board of Selectmen Darrington Road.
Actually, it's not the order, it's, we have to have a hearing first, so.
Oh.
If we could set the hearing. Last time it was in March, so I had put March 21st, if that works for you, at 6:30 before a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
When are you gone?
February 10th.
That's next week.
The 17th.
How exciting.
What's next week?
And you said March what?
You are.
21st. Oh, right there. Gotcha.
21st, you say?
It's up to you. You need to vote on this.
Well, wait to me. You leave? Huh?
And we're doing this because, even though the county commissioners said
Yes.
having the closed road was fine, we're now gonna open it.
You guys agreed to put it on the warrant for town meeting.
Mhm.
That's
They
the
just
go-
said they're not reliable for it.
Yeah,
It's not their decision to whether we open it or close it,
Who said that?
county commissioners,
Oh, yeah.
So
that's all.
It's not within their purview.
Right,
I just need a motion on what date you would like to hold this hearing.
March 21st is good.
yeah. Lee, does that work for you?
Yes. What time?
6:30.
6:30?
March 21st, you said?
Mm-hmm. What day of the week is that? That's before select board.
Okay, so the March 21st, then we would be meeting at 6:30, we have a half hour meeting, is that correct? Yeah.
Just, if I could ask a question. We voted at town meeting not to do this. But apparently at one point, somewhere along the way that I don't remember, the select board voted to bring it up at town meeting again.
I don't remember
A
agreeing
couple
to
of
that,
meetings
but
ago, it was brought up and you all agreed to put it on the warrant for town meeting.
I don't
That
remember.
was
that.
year,
Because he could do it every year. Is that right?
what's that?
He could do this he could do this a year after. Is that
Right, we didn't have to wait a full year to vote on it.
right?
I contacted MMA Legal. You guys agreed to include it on the warrant.
I just didn't remember agreeing to that. Doesn't mean I didn't. I just don't even remember talking about putting this on the warrant.
You remember these why they failed at town meeting?
Because the majority of the people voted.
How they
not to
want it.
do taxes.
Mainly because it was going to be $70,000 this year's, out of this year's road budget. But the road still needed to be fixed up, and we put something like, what, $35,000 into it this summer?
What, one resident?
Actually,
Down
it
on
was
roads.
two people.
How many residents are on that road, and that road is probably the worst road in town.
Oh, honey, you just haven't driven all over the whole town.
Well, this road washed out a lot and we had to, hopefully it's gonna be paid for with FEMA funds, but
But in any case,
What did you find out?
What's that?
What did you find out? We were going to do?
when they let us know.
At the last meeting, I had a report from the FEMA representative.
she's got everything she needs.
There's no set date. They're working on it.
They got all that, they got all that.
They did say that they got the money that they needed, so, it should be coming.
They get all that information.
So I have the question. You said that the people voted it down because it cost $70,000. What about the people that don't want that road opened up for those departments, just simply because it sets a precedent? That you can move in, come on, Hopkins, wide open. Move up on top of Bear Mountain, by God, they'll plow your road in a few years.
Now, I hear
We
you.
don't wanna go there. No. It's not the 70,000, but as years go by, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
they could turn into 250,000 or,
Oh.
oh God, this
Oh.
road ain't good enough now, let's put a little more money in.
Oh, hell yeah.
So
So
the
we
value of
voted
that
no.
line goes up
Yeah,
as soon as it's open year round. What they paid for it was a lot less because it did not have.
Well, and because they bought it 40 years ago.
right, but regardless, the town had voted no, they didn't want to plow it. I thought that was a done deal, what the commissioners said, they didn't want to override it.
The
not
town
a
voted
jurisdiction.
to keep it closed for
And we
10
don't
years.
know. No, I don't see.
And you know something, the town may vote no again.
Vote again.
Do we have to vote every year? Why? Does it make sense?
Well, the fact of the matter is, when somebody comes in with a petition, you have to put it on the town.
Did he come before the?
Not a petition this time.
He had a right to wait a year,
Right,
I
but
thought.
He came in with a petition before,
the first,
no, came in with a petition the first time, he petitioned again, and we refused to even put it on because we had to wait a full year. So basically, I think we're kind of going off the petition that he turned in, that we told him he had to wait a year, now the year has passed.
No, we moved town meeting last year so that we could put it on there. So it would be a year.
Yeah, but he waited, got his year waited,
doesn't matter.
and that's why we turned it over to the county commissioners to see which way, because they could have said, yes, you're gonna plow it.
Right. No, it's no, I mean, really?
But they said it wasn't their jurisdiction, so they didn't,
Right.
they didn't go with it.
So that the town,
Well, that was better than they
the legislative body of the town ruled in that case, not the county commissioners, and the legislative body of the town that voted in the town. A meeting was for 10 years to keep that road closed. Less than a year later, we're putting it on the agenda
Mhm.
to vote the same thing.
Doesn't make sense.
Regardless
know if we
of what
can
money
get it
that's involved, like Cindy said, the principles. That road, Bear Pond Road,
But he didn't have a new
Right.
petition.
you know, there's a number of these roads and trails.
He had a petition, but he had to wait a year.
We did
Maybe
last year.
someone could go and buy the property.
That's why we moved town meeting last year.
Buy it now,
So it would be a year,
and then
he
petition the town,
appealed it.
open the road.
and he lost.
Well, if we hold a hearing, they don't have to sign the order after the hearing. We just need to set a date for a hearing.
Mm.
That's all we need to do
He
now.
put an appeal in, didn't he? He appealed it.
And you can appeal it to the county commissioners, and they'll say they don't have jurisdiction. They've already said it.
Want to make a motion? Do you want like this date or you want a different date?
I'm okay with that date. I've actually already put it on my calendar. Yeah. 6:30,
Just need someone to
before
make
the
a
select
motion.
board meeting.
Make a motion.
I move we choose the date of March 21st at 6:30 PM before our select board meeting for a public hearing on the subject of the Darrington Road reopening.
I second it.
Is there any way to get around doing this vicious circle of life here? I mean, if he can appeal every time, and the town has to vote it down every time, how many times do we have to do that? Just like a little
The
kid,
select
you
board
know, tell them no.
have to make an announcement. They can choose not.
All in favor?
All in favor? I'm abstaining.
Show up to the hearing. If you care about the issue, go up to the hearing.
Vote like the ATV.
Well, good luck with that, because we have to.
Well, that's the thing, is you're not having it when it's a whole town meeting like you did last year, you had a whole town meeting, it was completely full, and people said no. He's like a little child, and you're gonna keep saying no, 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 no. They don't understand no, there must be. I don't want my taxes going up getting higher, Dave and I are retired, moving on social security, we don't want our taxes going up.
That's why they're gonna have a hearing to talk about it.
Yeah, but it was only done at the town meeting. Whole town was here.
So did you look over the ordinance? It doesn't have to be approved tonight.
Yes,
Just, I didn't know if you wanted to put the rec committee in there or not, but I did
yes,
just in case.
yes, I'll do. I think it's a good idea.
And I used the exact wording from the law about the acquired properties that
Yep.
left in the bid process. If it does go to bid.
I wouldn't mind having more time to look it over again, just to be on the sure side, but
Alright.
it does seem to me like it, looks good, looks good,
I think we'll take it out.
looks good so far. but I'll be happy to look at it.
We could send it to the ordinance committee too before it goes to the
Oh,
lawyer.
the committee's so good.
But you,
We love our ordinance committee.
Well, the ordinance committee should certainly be looking at this. In this ordinance.
it's pretty simple changes, but yeah.
Yeah,
Having more eyes better.
So
Minor
ordinance,
amendments,
ordinance
more
committee,
better.
can we review, can the committee review this next week? These,
But review
these
the-
administrative
review
changes,
the changes, some amendments to the administrative ordinance. Yeah.
They have no secretary.
Well, if you don't have a quorum again, then you'll need to apply to the select board to find some new members, I think. And we will have to bite that bullet when we come to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to speak. So, oh, dear. No, I'm getting a bunch from.
So I know what they got on the change back the motion.
I will, I made a note to send it to you.
So I'd hand you my copy. You can look at my copy now if you want, but I'm gonna want to look mine over again.
Me is gonna send it to you.
Good.
appointments and resignations.
We have a lot of appointments to make with minor appointments. For this, for reasons unknown, the election clerks all expire in February.
Every year,
Pardon?
every year.
Every year, I mean, it's still for reasons unknown, as far as I'm concerned. What? Talk to Leanne.
Are you a Republican or a Democrat? You're registered as a Republican? Wait, her too.
Okay, I'd like to appoint Richard Dyer. As the election clerk.
Can we just
say-
do a mass group?
I don't think he's interested. I meant to cross him off, but it's up to you.
You know, let's just appoint him. I mean, he doesn't have to do it if he doesn't want to, but
All right.
if you have extra people, it might be handy.
Can
You're
we-
probably right about that, though. I was wondering if you had asked everybody who's on this list if they're still interested.
Do you want,
Oh, okay, so can we just take this as a slate then?
Can you add Kathleen?
Can add Kathleen.
Can you put that on Facebook so that people can apply, that want to apply, instead of the same old people all the time?
They do have to be registered as a
I know,
Democrat or
but
Republican.
you can advertise it, I mean, hey, everything should be advertised.
Well, it's supposed to come from the caucuses. They're supposed to recommend people just like ballot clerks. Yeah, so they haven't been lately.
Okay, so I move that we adopt this slate of, we reappoint this slate of election clerks with the amendment to include Kathleen Terrio.
I second it.
all in favor?
Yep, sign all these.
I can hardly wait. It's okay, I carried quite a few extra things with these. So I
still-
don't run out.
I'm all set for March 3rd, but in June, I'm gonna need all those ballot clerks I can get. We're gonna do March 11.
What's March 5th?
for presidential
Primaries.
primary, which is counted by the machine. So.
Oh. Right, March 5th, Super Tuesday.
Wow, we counted the. Yeah. I'm probably gonna need a lot of counters off the, I have 2 shifts, 8 to 2 and 2 to 8, and then count.
I'll just put it on there.
So jiggling in glasses. I'm
Huh?
telling you.
Al's the instigator.
Yeah, evidently.
More, she.
I know.
Excuse me.
Two more.
Hmm?
The Lily McDonald's.
What correspondence I have, I think you're right.
And under, is there any training, anything going on?
No.
Okay, reviewing correspondence, we've got this riveting letter from the United States
You must have.
Department of Commerce,
I didn't
US
see one
Census
for
Bureau.
Kathleen.
What's that?
Did that go right by me?
No, she just passed it to me.
Oh, okay.
Was it not in there?
I made one out. Well, I'm sure that it has to be. It was one of the first ones. I was expecting it to be last, but she was the first one on the list. The only one I was thinking. There you go. And there's a paperclip form too.
So they're asking that we review our government boundary and contact information and respond to BAS using one of the following options. So they're basically asking for a physical boundary or uses this boundary information.
They used to, the selectmen used to walk.
I was supposed to perambulate. The board of selectmen in any given town was required to perambulate the borders of that town and make sure that the lines were all good. Just the way the property owners are supposed to go around their property and make sure
Sounds like a
the
great walking.
blazes are still on.
How many miles do we have around the border?
I'll tell you what.
Is it gonna take me a while?
Be some good for us.
Take us a while?
Most select boards in recent years, I mean, recently, it's been, it was actually Sawin Mill put in the bill
I love Sawin, yeah.
change that from being the law to not having to do it, but most, select boards actually hire a surveyor to go out and do it.
What have we done?
We never, hasn't been really going on since I've been on the board, so I would.
So 20 years.
Oh, it's been a long time since Solomon put that bill in. I don't know how long it's been, but quite a spell.
I think Rocky said you used to.
He, yeah,
That's what he told me.
he probably did, yeah. But they don't do it anymore.
What do we want to do?
I think, well, I'll just tell you one thing, I think would be an excellent thing for us to have for a policy is that, the select board drive all of the roads in town at least once a year, each one of us.
I've done that.
I don't doubt that for a minute.
No, I don't.
You in your truck.
Can't have any decals,
On Facebook one
Lee.
time, somebody-
Can't have any decals on it either, remember? She goes, I don't want a sticker on my truck. I laugh because she's got decals and stuff.
She did get in trouble one time.
Yes, it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, that was just because somebody was having a particular issue, let's say.
Okay, well, I'll go on and look at what the form looks like and, see if it's actually feasible, but it sounds like it's a lot of walking in the winter through the snow and,
You know,
I
I
wouldn't
don't
even know
know,
where the
I'm
lines
not
are.
sure what's the deadline, I don't know what you have to do for the winter, you might wanna wait until it ticks around.
You get lost.
that's true. I'm gonna go on and see what it's voluntary, but I'm gonna go in and see what it says, yeah.
I'd rather drive the roads.
Well, I just think, you know, I've thought this for years, is that everybody on the select board should drive all of the town roads every year, so we have a sense of what the scope of the town is and how big it is and what we're really plowing and
Yeah.
so on. And then other places in town that I don't get to.
I wrote that,
You know,
had a new volunteer form,
What?
What are we talking?
the volunteer book.
Oh, volunteer about.
These folks train them, huh?
Yep. Oh, so we have a, Christopher Bragg, right? Two, or this is
Yeah,
the
we
newest one?
We had Chris fill it out, so I had his contact information, with our Secretary Sexton,
Oh, yes,
but
okay, yeah.
that one was not new.
All right. So we have a new volunteer form that came in from Cindy Violet. And,
Cindy?
yeah, let's see.
Ordinance.
What does she want?
Yeah. She said curious of the ordinance process and have time to learn.
Okay, well,
Cindy.
just as soon as one of our ordinance members
Cindy?
gets
Are they gonna
term. Well, they've got enough right now, as far as I know, but only if there's two people who haven't bothered to show up and haven't bothered to show up and haven't bothered to show up and still haven't bothered to show up. So, and I think what Bonnie said was that one of them, at least one of them is gonna be out at this time if they don't show up on Wednesday night. Out, yeah, that means she will report to the select board that this person has turned up 3 times in a row, they will be deemed to have resigned and they could be replaced. So I'm afraid you'll have to wait. If ordinance is what you want. On the other hand, solid waste committee is hurting for public.
I know. But I'm
Great,
prejudice.
we are happy to.
This against what?
So,
Trash?
that's a trashy.
Too long.
Yep.
All right, we're on every Monday. I hate my trash. I was at a transfer station like Buckville.
Yeah,
Oh,
all right, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting. Thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah.
8:55.
Go buy a trash compactor somewhere.
Right.
my God.